I know, and I tried to give you 10 extra minutes because I hear traffic's terrible. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to County Board meeting May 18th, 2023. Like you said, I know we're all dealing with summer traffic, and so wanted to give you a little extra time here. At this time, I'm going to call this meeting to order. We have Destiny Ortiz, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Ready, Freddie?
Yep.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Balich. Here. Trainier. Dean Schlottman. Here. Van Dyne. Here. Pretzel. Here. Butler. Newquist. Here. Richmond. Here. Parker. Here. Williams. Here. Diaz. Winfrey. Coleman. Here. Logan. Here. Freeman. Here. Revis. Here. Mitchell. Mitchell. Here. Ortiz. Here. Berkowitz. Here. Mueller. Here. Costa. Here. Ogala.
Here. 19 present, 3 absent.
With 19 members being present, we have a quorum. I need a motion to place on file the certificate of publication. Motion by Freeman, seconded by Mueller. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich. Here. Yes. Trainier. Yes. Dean Schlottman. Yes. Van Dyne. Yes. Pretzel. Yes. Newquist. Yes. Richmond. Yes. Parker. Yes. Williams. Yes. Coleman. Yes. Logan. Yes. Freeman. Revis. Yes. Mitchell. Yes. Ortiz. Yes. Berkowitz. Yes. Mueller. Yes. Costa. Yes. Ogala.
Yes. 19 affirmative.
19 affirmative, the motion carries. I need a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the April 20th, 2023 board meeting.
Move Mitchell. Second, Dean Schlottman.
Motion by Mitchell, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Previous roll call by Newquist, seconded by Mueller. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the meeting minutes for the April 20th, 2023 executive session. Motion by Ortiz, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Trainier, seconded by Van Dyne. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, will you please acknowledge the elected officials and media present today?
Today we have County Executive Jennifer Bertino-Tarrant, County Clerk Lawrence Daly Ferry, the Auditor Duffy Blackburn, Recorder of Deeds Karen Stuckel, and Treasurer Tim Brophy. And I don't see that we have any media present today.
At this time, we have 2 proclamations, honorary resolutions, proclamations. I believe we have recognizing Memorial Day by County Board Member Coleman. Wherever you want. Wherever you'd like. Okay, we have County Board members Coleman and Dean Schlottman for Memorial Day, correct? Yeah.
Each year on Memorial Day, a national moment of remembrance takes place at 3 p.m. local time. Memorial Day, originally called Decoration Day, began during the American Civil War when citizens placed flowers on the graves of those who had been killed in battle. After World War I, it came to be observed and honor those who had died in all U.S. wars, and its name changed to Memorial Day. The Civil War, which ended in the spring of 1865, claimed more lives than any conflict in U.S. history, and required the establishment of the country's first national cemeteries. By the late 1860s, Americans in various towns and cities had begun holding springtime tributes to these countless fallen soldiers, decorating their graves with flowers and reciting prayers. It is unclear where exactly this tradition originated. Numerous different communities may have independently initiated the memorial gatherings. And some records show that one of the earliest Memorial Day commemorations was organized by a group of formerly enslaved people in Charleston, South Carolina, less than a month after the Confederacy surrendered in 1865. Nevertheless, in 1966, the federal government declared Waterloo, New York, the official birthplace of Memorial Day.
On May 5th, 1868, General John A. Logan, leader of an organization for Northern Civil War veterans, called for a nationwide day of remembrance later that month. The date of Decoration Day, as he called it, was chosen because it wasn't the anniversary of any particular battle. Memorial Day became an official federal holiday in 1971. In the spring of 1915, bright red flowers began poking through the battle-ravaged land across northern France and Flanders, northern Belgium. Canadian Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae, who served as brigade surgeon, spotted a cluster of poppies shortly after serving during the bloody Second Battle of Ypres. The sight of the bright red flowers against the dreary backdrop of war inspired McCrae to pen the poem In Flanders Field, in which he gave a voice to the soldiers who had been killed in battle and lay buried beneath the poppy-covered grounds. Later that year, a Georgia teacher and volunteer war worker named Moana Michael wrote a poem in Ladies' Journal, Home Journal, and wrote her own poem, We Shall Keep the Faith, to begin a campaign to make the poppy the symbol of tribute to all who died in war. 1,304,702 American men and women have lost their lives in war since 1775.
Thank you, ladies. And I think it should be noted that both the ladies who presented today did serve time, so we appreciate your service. At this time, we are going to move to recognizing May as Mental Health Awareness Month. County Board Member Trenier.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Mental Health Awareness Month has been observed in the U.S. since 1949 to fight the stigma, provide support, educate the public, and advocate for policies that support the millions of U.S. citizens affected by mental illness. Mental health impacts a person's emotional, social, environmental, financial, and overall well-being. Nearly 1 in 5 adults and 1 in 5 adolescents in the United States live with a mental illness. Suicide is now the second leading cause of death for 15 to 24-year-olds, with teenagers experiencing a 17.3% increase in the use of anxiety medications since 2010. And some of you might note that there's a shortage of those medications right now. 1/3 of the United States population lives in a country designated as a mental health professional shortage area. An estimated 44% of residents detained in jails are suffering from a mental illness, often with co-occurring substance use disorders. The theme for Mental Health Month 2023 is More Than Enough. It is an opportunity to come together and to remember that the inherent value that we each hold, no matter our diagnosis, appearance, socioeconomic status, background, or abilities, every person should know that if all you did was wake up today, that's more than enough. No matter what, you are inherently worthy of more than enough life, love, and healing. Showing up just as you are for yourself and the people around you is more than enough. And I so move.
That last time either, too. Sorry about that.
That's
Motion
okay.
by Trenier, seconded by Van Dyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I better go back to recognizing Memorial Day. Is there a motion? Motion by Mueller, seconded by Ogala. Previous roll call by Berkowitz, seconded by Mitchell. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, at this time, we are going to open up for any public comments for today's agenda items only. And just a reminder that we have 3 opportunities here. This is for any agenda item. We also will have our public hearings for land use, and at the end of the meeting, we also have another public comment portion for anything regarding county business. So if you have any public county comments regarding today's agenda items, you can please come forward here. I have a name, Mr. Hussey did sign in, but I'm not sure if it's for this or land use, but you're welcome to come up if you need to know. Okay, any public comment for agenda items? All right, thank you. Seeing none, moving on to old business. All resolutions and ordinance from the April 2023 board meeting have been returned. And moving on to new business, we're going to add Janet Diaz to the roll. Moving on to new business, we will start with Land Use and Development Committee. Chair Pretzel.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I'd like to make a motion to open a public hearing for all land use cases.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Ogala. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich. Yes. Trenier. Dean Schlottman. Yes. Van Dyne. Yes. Pretzel.
Yes.
Newquist. Yes. Richmond. Yes. Parker. Yes. Williams. Yes. Diaz. Yes. Coleman. Yes. Logan. Yes. Freeman. Yes. Revis. Yes. Mitchell. Yes. Ortiz. Yes. Berkowitz. Yes. Mueller. Yes. Costa. Yes. Ogala.
20 affirmative. We are now in public hearing. Please be advised that no new evidence can be shared at this time. So if you have any comments on any of our land use cases, now is the time to come forward. You can come to the podium here and make your public comment. When you get to the podium, please state your name. Just so you know, this is just for public comment. So, yeah. That's what I wanted. Yeah, oh, yeah, so you can make a comment now. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Yep, there we go. You can talk about any of the cases.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify, because I showed up a few minutes late, I apologize. I need to participate in one of the matters as a party to object to a variance.
This would be the time.
So this is my
Yeah,
opportunity.
you can make your comment now, yes.
So this would be on the address located at 19752 South Edinburgh Lane in Frankfort, Illinois, otherwise known as Michael and Gail Hussey, applicant for a variance within a 5-foot side yard setback. I've gone to prior hearings on this matter before other departments, before the county board, and it appears that this homeowner has infringed upon my rights by building an accessory bar structure within 5 feet of the property line. In doing so, there was a fence damaged. Now that is at dispute, however, that is not a matter before this board. At prior hearings, there was a lot of question as to when I brought my concerns to the attention of Will County. They were addressed in 2023, at which point in time I personally observed construction ongoing. So I'm not sure why the subject question matter would be when the initial construction began. That's not the matter before the board today. The matter is violation of a permit that has allowed for the construction of an accessory bar structure within 5 feet of the property line. The staff report that was submitted to the county board supported my position on the matter, which basically states in layman's terms that they want to maintain the integrity of infrastructure in our community when it pertains to drainage in the area. There was also questions as to air quality concerns as a result of the roof on this structure. So the cherry picking of issues with respect to whether it's a roof, whether it's the foundation, whether it's the fence is not the issue. The issue is a variance violation for an unpermitted construction project. But for those facts, I would not have missed many days from work to attend these hearings to assert my rights. This homeowner is also trying to claim that there's an issue with respect to ownership of this fence. In the first hearing, he claimed that he owned the fence. In the second, and in that first hearing, also claimed that he participated in the construction of this fence. In the second hearing, claimed that the person who installed the fence installed it correctly. So I would like to submit into evidence today my attorney modification letter, which actually addresses ownership of this fence. And the reason for this is because on the day I had my inspection conducted by Sheridan Building Inspections, the wife of these property owners approached me and my home inspector asking if I was going to make repairs to this fence. So I was a little unsure initially before purchasing this home who owned this fence. I also didn't want to purchase a home that would be subject to fence litigation. So I tried to get my attorney to clarify. And if you refer to paragraph number 12 of my July 30th, 2018 attorney modification letter, it states that the seller is to confirm the owner of the fence around the property. Seller's attorney, Teresa O'Brien, confirmed seller owns fence to the north and west. The reason for our further clarification on this is because I wanted to avoid something like this. I saw that this fence was in disrepair when I initially purchased the property. Wood fences have a lifespan, and we know that wood rots. I live on a home that I would like to maintain without having disputes with my neighbor. This fence needs repair. On my Sheridan Building Inspections report dated July 28, 2018, it states that this fence item needs immediate repair or replacement as it is unable to perform its intended function. So we knew at the time in 2018 the fence needed repair. In the attorney modification letter, the sellers agreed to make said repairs to the loose boards, cracked supports, wood fence gates that do not latch. Those repairs were made. I agreed to purchase my home. Here we are years later. I'm dealing with a fence that's falling over. I witnessed, I videotaped on my phone, took multiple photographs of multiple fence panels and construction materials propped up on the fence.
So you have to make sure you stay on topic here regarding the issue.
I understand.
Okay.
The pergola construction and the construction materials placed on the fence during the course of the construction damaged this fence. At this point in time, if I were to remove this fence, the issue of the variance still remains, regardless of whether the fence is in its place. It is still within 5 feet of the property line. So if I choose not to have said fence and remove that factor entirely from this scenario, we would not even consider the matter of a fence at all an issue. What we would only address right now is the variance. Exactly like you said, let's get back to the matters at hand. So when Michael Hussey comes up here and tries to argue that he owns the fence and therefore he had a right to damage said fence in the construction by installing this pergola. He did not.
Ma'am,
This
I don't
per-
want to go back and argue, but the vote today is just on the pergola.
On the
fence.
pergola.
Yeah, so
And the
the
pergola
fence
is
a separate issue.
The
that is-
pergola is a concern because of what is addressed in the staff report. Air quality issues, issues with infrastructure and drainage integrity in the area. We would like to maintain the infrastructure. Let's not make this status quo to allow homeowners to violate permit laws and then later infringe upon homeowners' rights and pass these ordinance variance requests as status quo. Because what we're doing is saying to other homeowners, you can violate the law, you can go in and you can ask for a request to make a variance, and as long as nobody else objects to it, it's okay. My reasons for objection are every single reason outlined in the staff report. Has nothing to do with the fence. If we remove this fence completely, that is a moot factor to this case before the board. This is strictly about a variance within 5 feet of the property line. And as it stands, I still have the right to assert my rights and not have someone infringe upon those rights simply because they want to entertain people using a bar structure in the area that has a roof. This is not a pergola. This is not a slatted roof. This is a fully covered roof. This gentleman is not explaining that he is still in process of construction. There's exposed electrical, there's still construction materials on the site. So this has nothing to do with when the project began, when it was completed. This also has nothing to do with the fence. This has to do with a violation of a variance ordinance that exists and is on the record for all the reasons that protect property owners, and that's all outlined in your own staff report.
Thank you. For this matter, too, we have Mr. Hussey would like to come forward.
Hi, Michael Hussey. I just would like to state the facts on this matter here. It has nothing to do with the fence, which, as she said, the fence was damaged before she even moved in there. I helped the owner, which I gave permission to take the metal fence down and put a wood fence up, and I helped him do partially part of the project, and I was out of town for work and he finished it. That fence has been damaged before she even moved in there. Nothing to do with construction. All I'm here for is to ask that the pergola that I built, I put a roof on it, and it's just a small little metal roof to protect from the elements of sun, rain, just so we can watch TV back there. Every single other neighbor in the whole subdivision likes it except for her, every surrounding neighbor. And it's all about just keeping the roof on this pergola. It already was approved at the last board meeting, and they said I could leave it right where it's at. It has no drainage issues, no flooding issues, no airflow. It's an open structure with a 3-foot wall in the back just to support a TV set. That's it. I'm just asking for a variance to keep the roof on because they said if it comes off, I could put a tarp on it, but she's worried about the fence and selling her house. It's going to look terrible with a tarp on the roof. I have a nice little metal roof on it, which you guys all have pictures of, I think, and I would just like to keep the roof on it. That's all I'm asking for.
Thank you.
And I am half owner of that fence, as what you guys told me. So I gave permission for them to do what they did. So the fence issue is completely nothing to do with this. It's been damaged before she moved in there. Nothing to do with construction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have other, let's see,
I move to close public hearing.
we may have some we have some people who signed in. We're going to work on this so we can know if they're just here for appearance or just for speaking as well. We're going to add a line so we know. Is there anyone else here for, who to talk about any of our public hearing zoning cases today? There's a motion to close public hearing by, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, come on down, yeah, sorry. This is the time. This is the time, this is public hearing for these cases.
Microphone is still on, okay. Good morning, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Patrick Turner, an attorney representing the applicant Sergey Tuguchi, and this is number 3 on the Land Use and Development Committee agenda. It is case number ZC-22-094. The property is on Wolf's Crossing, just east of Soccer Drive, and it has a Plainfield, Illinois address. This is a application for a map amendment from the existing R1 to an I1 zoning district. For the record, we had filed a companion case for a special use permit. If the rezoning was granted, we also applied for a special use permit to allow a truck terminal. We have since withdrawn that application. We are simply seeking a map amendment to rezone the property from its existing R1 district to an I1 light industrial district to allow a vehicle repair facility to operate at the property. The proposed truck terminal included 20 trucks. We realized that we had an uphill battle trying to get the truck terminal approved because there was many protesters, dozens of protesters. So we scaled down the operation. We withdrew the truck terminal application, and we are simply seeking to rezone the property to allow a vehicle repair facility. The Planning and Zoning Commission approved the rezoning 4-2 on a vote for 4-2. The Land Use and Development Committee unanimously denied the rezoning application. The City of Aurora has filed a formal written protest, which was lodged and recorded with the Will County Clerk, which is now requiring a supermajority vote before this board for approval of our application to rezone the property. There are also dozens of emails from surrounding residents and owners in opposition to our proposed rezoning, most of which relate to the truck terminal, but we have since withdrawn that application entirely. So we are simply seeking to rezone the property to allow a vehicle repair facility. So we have a daunting task before us to try to get a supermajority of this board to try to approve this rezoning, and we realize that. It's a considerable uphill battle. But right now, I'd like to back up and just look at some excerpts from the Will County zoning ordinance, and in particular, section 155-1.60, which is the purposes of the zoning ordinance. And I quote, "This zoning ordinance is adopted for the purpose of," and then it has 6 categories. Category C is protecting the public health, safety, and general welfare of present and future inhabitants of Will County by, and then it goes into 11 subcategories. I would like to just point out a couple of those subcategories. Subcategory number 7 is providing for the opportunity to create a variety of housing opportunities and lifestyles, employment, industrial, and commercial enterprises. Subcategory number 8, prohibiting the intrusion of incompatible uses into residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural, recreational, and other necessary natural and man-made areas. So we have, obviously, we want harmony, and we want these zoning districts to be compatible with each other. There's another category under the purposes section of the zoning ordinance, conserving property values throughout Will County by, number 1, prohibiting the intrusion of incompatible uses into residential, commercial, industrial, agricultural, recreational, and natural resources or other necessary natural and man-made areas. Once again, we're talking about the incompatible uses. And finally, there are some additional subcategories under the conserving property values, and that has to do with requiring provisions for the coordinated, adjusted, and harmonious development, and requiring provisions for promoting adherence to land use patterns that have been deemed to provide development in the best interest of the entire county. The reason I'm pointing this out is that if you look, unfortunately, we don't have the slides available, but this is an island in the middle of an industrial area. To the east is an entire industrial park, many industrial uses. To the west is a self-storage facility that wraps around actually to the south of this property. So it's surrounded on three sides by industrial uses. Across the street is an agricultural district, and to the north of that is residential. Not allowing this rezoning flies in the face of these delineated purposes that are set forth and that I just went over in the zoning district and the zoning ordinance. This is an industrial area. At some point, there's a transition area from industrial, and in this case, a residential. So the problem is this is the last lot to be developed in this industrial area, and all the protests have to do with, number one, the truck terminal and traffic issues. Now, when we look at, and let me back up, there was a report submitted in support of our application by Great Realty Advisors, and that report goes through all of the surrounding uses, and the bottom line is, with the scaled-down project from a truck terminal to a vehicle repair facility with only 10 parking spaces for trucks, tractor-trailer trucks, this is only going to be adding perhaps 2 to 3 truck movements a day at most. This is not bringing a lot of traffic into West Wolf's Crossing. So a lot of these protests are, based on data that's just not true. It's not. We're not going to bring in all this additional traffic. All we want to do is to try to make this harmonious and right. This property is not going to be developed as a residential lot. No one's going to build a house there or any other residential uses. It's, for some reason, it was downzoned years ago, and it's, again, an island of residential among industrial uses. It's not. I'm not sure why that my client is being singled out and not being able to develop his property for the intended use, which is industrial. Staff initially recommended approval of the rezoning in its initial report before the Planning and Zoning Commission with 13 conditions, all of which have been agreed to by the applicant. The applicant runs a small trucking firm. The use would be limited to the maintenance of his own fleet, no outside vehicles. Other conditions that he would agree to and staff is aware of is the shop would be open only during the week, no weekends. He would be more than willing to dedicate sufficient land for the road re-widening or the road widening, because everyone knows that in this area, West Wolf's Crossing is only a 2-lane highway, and it's got traffic and congestion issues. But once again, this development is not going to bring any terrible amount of traffic. We're talking about 2 or 3 movements per day. And once again, in our Great Realty Advisors report, all of the criteria of the required criteria of a map amendment have been met. The subject's light industrial use is in exact alignment with the properties in the immediate vicinity of the subject property. The request for the zoning change to industrial is consistent with the neighboring properties. The proposed motor vehicle repair facility is in alignment with the uses allowed in the existing I-1 zoning classification. The trend of development along West Wolf's Crossing includes large industrial parks. The proposed use is consistent with the adopted plans that are available. The proposed zoning would be in conformance with Will County Land Resource Management Plan, as the site is situated between existing industrial sites and is located along a collector roadway that leads to an arterial road, which is Route 30. The county's transportation plan, Will Connects, identifies Wolf's Crossing as a freight route. Again, this client is being singled out because unfortunately, this is the last developed lot in this industrial area. If this was 10 years ago, I don't think we'd be in this position. And lastly, the subject is not farmed, is not touched by adjacent farmland, and is not expected to be utilized as farmland due to its size and based on its being adjacent to developed light industrial and self-storage facilities. Again, if you look at the surrounding uses, the self-storage facility to the west and to the south has 57 RVs parked on it at the time that Great Realty Advisors, our consultant, prepared its report. 57 RVs just to the west and to the south, parked all along the self-storage facility. To the east, there are other vehicle repair facilities. This is the only way that this property will be developed into some type of industrial use. We're simply asking for a affirmative vote to make this right, to make this harmonious, and to allow this industrial use to move forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'd be more than willing to answer any questions by the board.
Public comment, yeah. Sergio, for the same case, there's, and I'm sorry, can't read your hand right. Sergio, it says 4. Are you here just an appearance only, or would you like to speak? You want to speak? Okay, that's right. Okay, excellent. All right. We also have here Gary Davidson for case number ZC 22092 to speak or appearance. Thank you. Nate Washburn for ZC 23017 to speak or for appearance only. Thank you. Thank you. ZC, yep, ZC 23024 as well, just appearance only, okay? And then that's for end of agenda. Okay, that looks like all of our people who signed in for public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry, Nathaniel Lowe, ZC 23024. Thank you. All right. Okay. Motion by Chair Pretzel to close public hearing. Is there a second? Second, Ogala. Madam Clerk, do you have to call the roll? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich. Trainier. Dean Schlottman. Van Dyne. Pretzel. Newquist. Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala.
20 members in the affirmative. The public hearing is now closed. Chair Pretzel.
Okay, first on the agenda, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 22084. This is a, sorry, I can't read my own writing. A map amendment from A1 to E2 in Peatone, County Board District Number 2. I'd like to make a motion to remand this back to committee.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Ogala. Previous roll call, or is there any discussion? Sorry. Previous roll, it's County Board Member Balich.
Yeah, is it on?
Yeah, now you are.
A lot of times, these land use cases concern neighbors fighting with each other, and there's different issues for different districts. And at our caucuses, we talk about each of these cases. Well, just so happens that we have one person in a lot of the districts from the Republican side and one from the Democrat side. So we know what one person thinks about what's happening in the district, but I think it's a good idea for the other people, actually both people in the district should let us know how they feel about these things. Because when we vote on certain things that's going to come up today, so if it's in my district, I should be able to say, yeah, I looked at it and I have no problem with it or whatever. If I have a problem, I should be able to talk about it. But they don't know what I said at caucus, and I don't know what they said at caucus. And so neither side is right or wrong. We're trying to be like Solomon and figure out the right answer, right? So I think it's important that that people weigh in, if it's their district, on these land use cases, so that we get two perspectives or the same perspective. You know, I'm just throwing that out, that, you know, if it's your district, please say something about it. Because I know, like, we had an argument in land use about one of the cases that's coming up, that they want to go from larger lots to smaller lots. And I live in like, almost like Chicago. I live in a little bitty lot in a little bitty house. Well, I don't really know what life's like out there. Well, Sherry and Judy lived there. So how do they feel about it? You know, because we only heard from Judy. We didn't hear from Sherry. And then this case with me and Jim, this the one with the pergola. To us, it's just more or less like a bunch of neighbors fighting. You know, but there's a lot more involved when you get into the nitty-gritty of the thing. So people should know how we feel about it. So that's all I'm saying, that, you know, if you're in a district and it's a contentious issue, maybe it's a good idea that you speak out and say how you feel about it, so the whole board knows how you feel about it.
Thank you. Chair O'Gallagher?
Thank you. So I'm going to speak on this current case here. So the landowners who wanted to partition this were met with, you know, were not approved at PZC land use, and local township did not support these smaller parcels. Since then, the owner has gone back, come up with another plan to, instead of you make 5 parcels, 2 3 some acre and 3 2 some acre, gone to the drawing board and come back with drawing 5 acre parcels, and has had conversations and is moving forward by going back to the township to get agreement there. In that area, there are other 5 acre parcels, so the township is agreeable to that, even though it's in a rural area, and it's suggested that the parcels should be 10 acre lots there. So that's why we're moving it back, to give them time to work that out, so they'll come back to us next month. Thank you.
So there's a motion to remand back to committee by Pretzel, seconded by O'Gallagher. Is there any previous roll call by Trenier, seconded by Newquist? Or do you have a comment? Okay, yeah, there you go.
I had a comment. I was just going to say thank you, Judy. I was going to ask why we were sending this back to committee. So that is really helpful. And Steve, just a quick comment on your point. I was pretty vocal about this in land use, so thank you.
Right. So a motion by Pretzel, seconded by O'Gallagher. Previous roll call, we said, was by Mueller, and then seconded by Mitchell. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Number 2, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 22092, Checkmate Contractors, Inc., owner of record, and Gary Davison of Castle Law, LLC, attorney, requesting a zoning map amendment from A1/C4 to I1, special use permit for a truck terminal in Wilmington Township on Lorenzo Road, Wilmington, Illinois, County Board District Number 1. In PZC, this was approved 6-0 for the map amendment. The also 6-0 for the truck terminal with 11 conditions. In Land Use and Development Committee, unanimous support 6-0 for map amendment from A1C4 to I1, and also in Land Use Development Committee, unanimous 6-0 approval for special use permit for the truck terminal with 11 conditions, and I so move.
So we're starting with the map amendment first. So we have a motion to, for the map amendment first, so it's motion by, can we do those together? No, okay, yeah, I think so. Motion by Pretzel. Second. Seconded by Dean Schlottman. Is there previous roll call? Previous by Van Dyne, seconded by Coleman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And I'd also like to make the motion for the map amendment, I'm sorry, the special use permit for the truck terminal with the 11 conditions.
All right, motion by Pretzel, seconded by Van Dyne. Previous roll call by Dean Schlottman, seconded by Freeman. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Number 3, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 22094, Plaza Square Partnership LP owner of record, and Patrick Turner of Meritus Law Attorney requesting zoning map amendment from R1 to I1, Wheatland Township, vacant property along Wolf's Crossing Road, east of Soccer Drive in Plainfield, Illinois, County Board District Number 10. In PZC, the map amendment was approved 4-2 from R1 to I1, and denial of the special use permit for the truck terminal, which I believe has been withdrawn. In land use and development, it had 0 support, 0-6 for the map amendment from R1 to I1, therefore denying, and the special use permit was withdrawn. So I would like to move for the map amendment from R1 to I1.
Okay, so we are moving forward. There's a motion by Pretzel, second by Trenier. Just a reminder that the city of Aurora filed a written protest, so a supermajority is needed, so we need 17 votes for this to pass. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich.
I'm sorry, I really cut that out. Is there any discussion on this one? I'm sorry. All right.
I would like
Yeah.
to mention, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that,
I'm sorry, yeah, press the button. Yeah, go ahead, Frankie.
There have been,
There is.
I want to say dozens, but a large amount of emails that have come in, and it was brought to my attention that several of them have come in this morning, and there was no time to share them. So just want to let that be known.
Thank you. And to the members, just a reminder, you press your button, I will see them, so I'll know that there is discussion. County Board Member, there's 3 people who would like to speak. County Board Member Freeman.
I'm just curious, when it comes to a vote, what exactly are we voting on? Is that the change to the I-1?
Yes, so the request for special use permit for a truck terminal has been withdrawn. So we're just voting on the map amendment from R1 to I1.
Thank you.
County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I just want to clarify some facts regarding the location and the environment of this parcel. This is my home, Meta's home. I know this blindfolded. On that particular stretch of the road, there are residents and homes directly across the street. There's also a new Pulte development going up. This particular parcel does not lie within any industrial park. The industrial parks have private entrances which have the appropriate space and infrastructure for those trucks to enter and exit. And even those industrial parks, every now and then the neighbors have informed me there are frequent accidents. This parcel has only ingress and egress directly onto Wolf's Crossing Road. I was there a week and a half ago during a very cold, rainy day, sent staff a picture, and this is a very congested, narrow, very difficult road for even a car to navigate in bad weather. There are so many unanswered questions about putting an industrial use into this parcel, and none of that homework has been done. I am encouraging the county board not to rezone this to industrial. At this point in time, this is not an industrial area. There are residents two doors on the same side of the street. To the east, I think it's the second parcel, another home is right there. So from the perspective of an individual, a resident in that district, it's my personal opinion that I do not want this rezoned. It doesn't have to be industrial. And I'm asking the board not to change the zoning. We have received maybe close to 100 objections. And there are a lot of communities that are impacted by the continued growth and congestion in the area. And adding semis and trucks is not going to benefit anyone. So for those reasons, I'm asking my fellow county board members to deny the zoning. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Revis.
I would just like to say that during COVID, I lost my job and I took a job working in that industrial park right there. And I'm very familiar with the area. And just from my experience over there, I agree with everything Julie Berkowitz, County Board Member Berkowitz is saying, and I think that we should deny this motion. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich.
Yes. Yeah. I no, you're right. Making sure you're clear. Yeah.
Trainier. Dean Schlottman. Van Dyne. Pretzel. Newquist. Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala.
With 20 opposed, the motion fails. Chair Pretzel.
Number 4, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 23002, J.C. Seegers LLC, owner of record, Cass Wendland of Wendland and Associates, attorney, requesting a special use permit for a landscape and lawn maintenance business in Frankfort Township, South 104th Avenue, Frankfort, Illinois County Board District Number 3. This has unanimous support from both PZC and land use, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich.
Yes.
Trainier. Dean Schlottman. Van Dyne. Pretzel.
Yes.
Newquist. Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala.
20 in the affirmative, the motion carries.
Thank you. Number 5, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 23017, 2085 South Spencer LLC, owner of record Sean Mathias of 815 Mulchet and Richard Kavanaugh of KGG LLC, attorney, requesting a special use permit for landscape and lawn maintenance business in New Lenox Township, commonly known as 2085 South Spencer Road, New Lenox, Illinois, County Board District number 6. This has unanimous support in both PZC and Land Use Development, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, second by Freeman. Previous roll call by Revis, seconded by Berkowitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 6, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance as amended for zoning case ZC 23018, estate of Raymond Carlson, deceased, and estate of Emily Carlson, deceased. Sean Mathis and Mathis Family Partnership agent and Richard Kavanaugh of KGG LLC, attorney, requesting a special use permit for a landscape and lawn maintenance business in Homer Township, commonly known as 17958 South Cedar Road, Homer Glen, Illinois County Board District number 4. This has unanimous support from both PZC and Land Use Development Committee, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Trenier. Previous roll call by Coleman, seconded by Ortiz. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, no? Okay. Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm with you, Steve. I know, yeah.
Steve Balich would like everyone to know that this is good. Number 7, ordinance amending the Will County, Illinois zoning ordinance for zoning case ZC 23024 as Kathleen M. Cardilano, owner of record. Sorry, there's a lot on here. Applicant and Fred Lowe of Chaley Tower Consultants, OBO Verizon Wireless, requesting a variance for setback from 10 feet to 3 feet in Frankfort Township, commonly known as 8444 West St. Francis Road, Frankfort, Illinois, County Board District Number 2. This has full support from both PZC and Land Use, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Berkowitz. Previous roll call by Mitchell. Seconded by Dean Schlottman. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, resolution number 1, repeal of ordinance 20-478, amending sections 155.7.30, outdoor display and storage of the Will County zoning ordinance. I'd like to make a motion to remove this from the agenda.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by O'Gala. Previous roll call by Trenier, seconded by Dean Schlottman. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 2, appeal of Planning and Zoning Commission decision for denial of variance for minimum side yard setback from 5 feet to 0.7 feet. Owner of record Michael and Gail Hussey for zoning case ZC 22097 in Frankfort Township, commonly known as 19752 Edenburg Lane, Frankfort, Illinois, County Board District Number 4. I would like to mention that this will require a 3/4 vote from the board to reverse. And I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by O'Gala. Is there any discussion? County Board Member Trenier.
Thank you. I know at the face, when you hear from both sides, it seems like two neighbors bickering, and it's really hard to decide who gets which half of the baby, Steve. But, and I'm not going to pretend to be Solomon, but I do know how to read. And I read the staff report, and they were very clear that this structure was built without a permit initially, the pergola, and that it does encroach on the easement. And that is a problem, because if that trend continues in that neighborhood, when there will be, utility work done, there will be issues. So for that reason, I'm going to be a no vote. Thank you.
Thank you. County Board Member Revis.
I guess I'm just curious, so a yes vote would appeal it or reverse it, and a no vote would keep as is. I just want clarification.
We are voting to, sorry, Frankie, I'll let you explain.
So the request was originally denied. The owner has appealed that decision because he'd like to keep his pergola.
Got it. Okay.
So,
You mean the roof?
so
It's a
if you
roof.
vote yes, you're voting to appeal the original decision. So if.
So are you
Thank you.
saying that the vote is to support the position of the property owner and overturn the decision of the PZC? Is that your motion? Or is your motion?
That's what I'm saying, yes.
Okay.
Yes, so
All
if
right.
we vote yes, we will appeal the original decision, and he will get to keep his pergola as it currently sits.
Okay, so you're voting in favor of the property owner asking for you to overturn the PZC?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you vote yes.
There you go.
That's the motion on the floor.
Yes. We will, definitely, but we have some more comments. County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Madam Executive. This is really confusing, and for people who weren't at land use. So the structure, which is called a pergola, is a structure. A pergola has an open roof. This does not have an open roof. And if you look at the attachment, there's two pictures that show you the roof on the top of this structure. It's a solid roof, very sturdy, very heavy, and you'll see in one picture that the top of the roof extends past the wall of the roof. It looks like maybe 6 inches. And I mention that because it's not somebody said it was a small roof. It's very sturdy, very heavy duty. Now, I do recall during conversation that the staff indicated the problem could be solved if he takes that roof off and puts on an open air roof, which is what a pergola normally has. That's one way to solve the problem and bring it into, then staff said it would be in compliance. I might make a recommendation looking at the attachments that have been provided us. He could move it to the other side of the yard. There's plenty of room. I think wouldn't necessarily have to be up against the fence, but that's another solution, I think, to the problem. But the real issue here is that that roof is a solid structure versus being open. And I do recall, if staff is here and they want to comment, they said the problem would be solved if that was replaced. So I don't know if staff is here.
Just say, what would you like, what do you?
Just to confirm that. All they asked him to do was to
Well,
take the solid roof off, and then it would be in compliance.
I think Frankie, you could probably answer
Yeah,
that as well.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to. So
Yeah. Brian, I think Frankie's gonna,
The-
I mean, it's a simple yes or no answer.
we've heard
Yeah.
quite a,
Yeah.
if the owner removes the sheeting from the roof, he can leave his pergola exactly where it is, which is what he has expressed he will do, or put a tarp on top of it. So the pergola, the owner intends to keep it where it is. It's just a matter of, do we want a tarp on the roof or keep it the way it is today?
That help you, Julie? You comfortable with that answer? Yeah.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
wanted to mention
Yeah.
that for
Okay.
the benefit of the other county
Thank you.
board members. Thank you.
Thank you. County Board Member Ballage and then Mitchell.
That's me and Jim Richmond's district, and this is one of them things where I said before, it's like a battle between neighbors. But what Frankie said, that all they gotta do is throw a tarp on top and not put a regular roof, and then they can remove the tarp when they want and leave it up when they want, because it's not permanent. So me and Jim were talking, that's what I went and talked to him about, if you're curious, we weren't talking about the weather. We think it would be appropriate to say yes, because it's gonna stay there anyway. They're just gonna make it look ugly.
Thank you. County Board Member Mitchell?
All right, I'm always in favor of applying a little bit of common sense. So if they leave the structure, you still have the same utility thing or whatever it was on the fence with a tarp over it. Just leave it the way it is. It will look raggedy after a while because they're gonna leave the tarp on. They're not gonna take it off every, winter. They're gonna leave the tarp on. It's gonna look raggedy. It's gonna be blowing in the wind. Let them leave their little corrugated tin roof on there and let it be what it's gonna be. That's what I'm suggesting that we do. Just leave it be. Yes.
Thank you.
I would just like to say too, I know that both of these neighbors are here, and I want to remind them and anyone else that's here to hear this case, we're not a court of law here. So we're not voting on who's right and who's wrong. Sir, you should have filed for a permit on this, and then we wouldn't be here today. But you didn't, and now it's here, and we're just trying to make the right decision. It is, it's up to you guys to vote on this. I don't really have a dog. I don't have a dog in the race, but it's there. He's going to leave it there. So do you want it sheeted permanently, or do you want this tarp? He puts his TV in there. He's going to protect his TV. So he's going to keep it covered. And he's well within his rights to do so with the tarp. So I'm going to support the appeal and let him keep his roof, but I wish he would have filed for a permit.
So we're voting on the appeal. Reminder that we do need 17 votes for this. Oh, I'm sorry, do you want to add something? Let's go.
I just have a question. If we vote and the majority says, yes, he can keep it, is he required then to file for the special permit? Or is that just, oh, he didn't do it and we voted to let him keep it so he doesn't have to apply?
Brian, my assumption is no.
But I'm gonna answer that.
Yeah,
Good morning, Brian Renner from the Land Use Department. The property owner has applied for the building permit to keep it, so that'd be one step. So if this board does overturn PZC's decision and he is allowed to keep the structure, at least from a variance perspective of being close to the property line, they will then need to obtain the building permit, and it's not just as simple as getting the building permit. We also have to get sign-offs from anybody that has a right to use that utility easement. So we'll have to go to the utilities and get them to say it's okay to keep it there, which we do get that permission from utility companies every now and then when somebody asks, but we do have to do that as well.
Yep. Right. So we have a motion and we have a second, and this is again, you want to say it one more time, Frankie, what we're voting on? To appeal
So, a yes means we are appealing the original decision and granting him the variance. A no would mean that we do not grant the variance and his pergola is not compliant.
Yeah. All right. Madam Clerk.
Balich.
Yes.
Trainier.
Yes.
Dean Schlottman.
Yes.
Van Dyne.
Yes.
Pretzel.
Yes.
Newquist. Richmond. Parker.
Yes.
Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell.
Yes.
Ortiz. Berkowitz.
Yes.
Mueller. Costa. Ogala.
No.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
With 15 members voting aye, 5 voting no, the motion fails.
Okay. Number 3, appeal of Planning and Zoning Commission decision for denial of 4 variances. Pedro Barrios, applicant for zoning case ZC 22100 in Joliet Township, commonly known as 1405 Spencer Road, County Board District Number 6. And I will remind you all, this also requires 3/4 support to appeal, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel. There a second? Second. Seconded by Trainier. Any discussion? All right. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich.
No.
Trainier. Dean Schlottman.
No.
Van Dyne. Pretzel.
Yes.
Newquist. Richmond. Parker.
Yes.
Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell.
No.
Ortiz. Berkowitz.
Yes.
Mueller. Costa. Ogala. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep.
The 12 members voting I'll say that again, with 12 members voting in the affirmative, 8 members voting in the negative, the motion fails.
Okay, last but not least, request to amend zoning case 22057, special use permit, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Trenier. Any discussion? Madam Clerk? Madam,
I am going to ask staff to come down for a better explanation of this, but it's an existing business. They need special use. The railroad crosses through their property. Brian?
Brian, we're going to need you on this
I'm
one.
going to butcher this.
I think he's trying to get a.
It's not listed in my notes, but this did pass committee unanimous, I believe, yeah. It's a recycling company. I'm just going to let Brian, I'm going to stop talking. Oh, sorry. I invited the wrong person.
Thank you. So Marguerite Kenny with the Land Use Department. Regarding ZC 22057, this request was approved before the county board last year. What transpired is one of the conditions of this particular request, BL Duke is a metal recycler, so the county board approved a special use permit for this property. One condition addressed the required accessibility to the public roads. There is a railroad that prevents them from having direct access onto a public road. So in order to get that said access, they've obtained a license from the railroad company to cross the railroad to gain that public roadway access. Since the special use permit is set to be transferable to run with the land, the license will not be adequate to show perpetual access across that railroad. And since the railroad is not granting basically a permanent easement to cross the railroad, what the request is to add 2 conditions to this special use request, basically taking away the transferability of the special use, and also to require the applicant to record the license agreement with the railroad at the recorder's office to make that part of the public record.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Seeing no more discussion, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich.
Yes.
Tranier. Yes. Dean Schlottman.
Yes.
Van Dyne. Pretzel.
Yes.
Newquist.
Yes.
Richmond.
Yes.
Parker.
Yes.
Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan.
Yes.
Freeman. Revis.
Yes.
Mitchell.
Yes.
Ortiz. Berkowitz.
Yes.
Mueller. Costa. Ogala.
19. With 19 in the affirmative, the motion carries.
Madam Executive, I do apologize, but on the last one, number 3, there was 4 variances. I was supposed to go through them individually. So can we kind of start over on that?
We'll have to vote. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Motion to reconsider by Ogala, seconded by, by Trenier, seconded by Ogala. I think we had previous roll call by Newquist, seconded by Diaz. I'm
So
sorry,
let
yep.
me-
Oh, Don, you want to ask a question real quick? For the motion.
So if we're voting again on number 3, I'm a little puzzled as to why people voted no. I mean, and maybe we could have land use give us some info on this. It was my understanding that basically the reason for the variances are because of the way the house was built prior to the setbacks and things like that being imposed. I mean, essentially, the homeowner doesn't really have any alternative to the variances, but maybe land use, someone from land use could clarify that for us. Thank you.
He said number 3. Okay, so hold on a second. We're talking about 23-130, right, Frankie? Yeah, so
So-
she's the right case, yeah, okay. Yeah. All right.
Variance for side yard from 20 feet to 15.8 feet. A variance for street setback from 100 feet to 75.86, and a variance for street setback from 100 feet to 56.85 feet. So staff probably can shed some light on this, but you're right. This really just puts them in compliance. There's existing structures. There's not much. I agree with you. We should have probably given them that.
Okay, so we have a motion to reconsider. We have a second. Can I take the roll call on that first so we can, then we'll go on discussion? So is there a previous roll call? Previous by Mueller, seconded by Diaz. Joe, can we add you as a yes? Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. So now we will have you do we'll start over on that one, then we can,
Okay.
you're back on.
All right. So variance number 1 is for variance for lot area from 2.5 acres to 34,215 square feet. And I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Dean Slotman. Previous roll call by Freeman, seconded by Van Dyne. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Second variance is for side yard from 20 feet to 15.8 feet. And I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, second by Mueller. Discussion?
I
County Board
just
Member
want to
Schneider.
ask, I mean, I was fine with these variances. I don't have an issue. I'm glad we're redoing the count and talking about them, but I was curious, this did not come up in our discussion last night, why they now need to request these. There's a house there. This guy bought it. He didn't build it. We can't ask him to move the thing. I'm just curious, what happened? Did he apply for a fence permit or something?
He is planning on, I'm going to invite staff up here for this one too.
So what are the 4 we have? We put it in 1.
No, he's got to know a lot. Yeah, he's got a garage, and he's moving the garage, and he's going to add the garage, but.
All right, thank you. Brian Redner again from the Land Use Department. So with this property, it's only about 34,000 square feet, all right? And the home is in an existing spot. The county records would indicate that this home was built in 1961, and the lot, I believe, was created in 1965. Now, what happened is the county assigned an A2 zoning district in the comprehensive rezoning of 1978. So the zoning that was assigned to this property didn't meet the dimensions of what the lot was at that time. So that was all fine, right? So the project or the property was non-conforming. But now Mr. Barrios, the homeowner, wants to put up an accessory structure. So in the A2 zoning district, you can put up to 3,000 square feet of accessory storage space. So he wants to build an accessory structure. Now, you can't fit a 3,000 square foot accessory storage space on this property and meet the setbacks. So that's why he requested the variance for one of the setbacks. The lot area variance is for an existing condition. The east side yard setback variance is for an existing condition. One of the street yard setbacks is for an existing condition, meaning the house is already there. It's in those spots. So the reason staff did recommend approval of all of the requests for the reasons outlined in the report and in the reasons I've just told you now about how it is an existing structure. It's only the one variance that applied to the street yard setback, and that's the one to 56.85 feet that has been created by the desire to put a new structure on the property. Let's see, did I answer your questions, or would you like to know more? All right.
Thank you, Madam Executive. Brian, the new accessory structure that Mr. Barrios plans on building, this is a nice lot being on the corner, Spencer Avenue and Berger Avenue. Is that a new structure he plans on building? Will that be facing Berger Avenue or have access to that street?
So the structure as proposed, and it's only a proposal because nothing has been permitted, is for Berger Avenue. That's the side yard setback that they're asking specifically related to the new structure. So that's one of the variances. So any entrance to the property, if they decided that they wanted an entrance off of Berger Avenue, the property owner, they would have to get permission from the highway commissioner. They can propose it that way, and if the highway commissioner gives them an access permit for Berger Avenue, then that's okay. If they want to go through Spencer Road, then they can go through Spencer Road as long as access is granted from the appropriate highway authority.
It just appears that by doing that, it would help alleviate some of the need for the setback variance and.
No, the setback variance would still be needed because this is a corner lot, so it has two sides and two front yard setbacks. So just by it being a narrow corner lot, you really can't fit a new structure on the property to a dimension that's allowed by code on this parcel because it's an A2 zone, which would normally be 2.5 acres. This property is not even 3/4 of an acre. So there's just not enough room to even fit what's allowed by code and meet the setbacks. So that's why they're here asking for the variance, for the one variance. The other three were related to existing conditions of the home and structures on site.
Okay, so we will continue. We've got the first one. Frankie, you're back up.
Okay. The second variance is for side yard, or the east side that Brian mentioned, from 20 feet to 15.8 feet. And I so move.
Second.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Berkowitz. I'll be honest, I don't remember. We had a good roll call from the last one. Okay. Previous roll call by Trenier, seconded by Freeman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Third variance is for street or Spencer Road setback from 100 feet to 75.86 feet, and I so move.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Berkowitz, seconded by Logan. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
And the last variance is for street Berger Avenue setback from 100 feet to 56.85 feet, and I so move.
Second.
Motion by Pretzel, seconded by Berkowitz. Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Freeman. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, and that's it for me. Our next Land Use and Development Committee meeting is scheduled for June 13th, 2023 at 10:30 a.m. right here. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't think we'll be making the memorial. County Board, Chair Richmond, Finance. Sorry, sir.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep,
Thank
you
you
go,
very
sorry.
much. Good morning, Madam Executive. And first item up today is our monthly financial reports. Want to move to place those on file.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Newquist, seconded by Costa. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, second item up today is a proposed fee increase for documents recorded with the Will County Recorder of Deeds office. And I just want to make one notation on that it is not the Recorder of Deeds, it's for the GIS division, and it's going to be for the GIS Fund 2105, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Trenier, seconded by Freeman. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, third item up is committing funds for University of Illinois Cooperative Extension, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Trenier. Previous roll call by Revis, seconded by Costa. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, fourth item up today is the authorization of a bridge loan to the Will County Community Mental Health Board for startup costs. And just want to make a couple notations that we've established a fund number 2,118 for the Community Mental Health Fund, and their funds are listed in the report, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Trenier, seconded by Costa. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, fifth item up today is authorizing use of contingency funds to purchase a replacement nurses call system, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call by Berkowitz, seconded by Costa. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, sixth item up today is transferring appropriations within the Health Department budget to fund vacancies for certified medical assistants, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call by Dean Schlottman, seconded by Ogala. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Seventh item up today is 23-137, appropriating funds, grant funds for the Center HealthWorks Illinois lead agency into the Health Department budget, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Trenier. Previous roll call by Ogala. Seconded by Berkowitz. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, eighth item up today is 23-138, appropriating grant funds for Northwest University into the Health Department budget for HIV prevention programs, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Costa. Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Freeman. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Ninth item up today is 23-139, appropriating grant funds for the National Association of County and City Health Workers into the Health Department budget for infection and prevention and control, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Costa. Previous roll call by Berkowitz, seconded by Diaz. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
10th item up today, 23-140, appropriating grant funds from the Illinois Department of Public Health COVID-19 vaccination grant for the Health Department budget, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Costa. Previous roll call by Ortiz, seconded by Diaz. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
11th item up today is 23-141, appropriating grant funds from the Helena Health Activating Relationship in Illinois for the systematic equity into our Health Department budget, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call by Ortiz, seconded by Costa. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, 12th item and final item up today is 23-142, authorizing county executive to execute necessary documents for delinquent tax programs, and I so move.
Motion by Richmond, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Ogala, seconded by Ortiz. All in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries.
Okay, and lastly, our next Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for June 6th, 2023 at 11 o'clock here at the county building.
Thank you. Moving on to Public Works and Transportation, Chair Van Dyne.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone in attendance, and good morning to you, Madam Executive.
Good morning.
We have a full agenda this morning, so I will try to be quick. Starting with number 1, Resolution 23-143, confirming award of contract to Iroquois Pavement Corporation, $1,655,222.29 for Will Center Road, County Highway 10 resurfacing. County Board Districts 2 and 3, and I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Ortiz. Previous roll call by Freeman, seconded by Costa. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. I will go through these pretty quick. I don't think we have a lot of objections, so if I move fast and I don't see your button, please stop me.
In committee, everything was unanimous, so
Okay.
thank you. 23-144, improvement by county under the Illinois Highway Code for Will Center Road, County Highway 10, using our MFT funds, $1.75 million. Districts 2 and 3, I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Dean Schlotman, seconded by Mitchell. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 23-145, confirming award to PT Farrow Construction, $196,864 for Manhattan Road District Overlay, County Board District 2, and I will make that motion.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Pretzel. Previous roll call by Berkowitz, seconded by Dean Schlotman. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
23-146, confirming award of contract to Vulcan Construction Materials for aggregate, and I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Pretzel. Previous roll call by, I'm sorry, who was it? Mueller, seconded by Freeman. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 23-147, authorizing approval of planning and environmental linkage services for Wilmington Peatone Road, County Highway 25, County Board Districts 1 and 2, and I will make the motion.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Dean Schlotman. Previous roll call by Richmond, seconded by Pretzel. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
23-148, authorizing an IGA between the Village of Homer Glen and Northwest Homer Fire Protection District for Bell Road, County Highway 16, County Board District 4, and I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Dean Schlotman, seconded by Logan. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
23-149, authorizing the same IGA for the traffic signals at County Highway 37, County Board District 4.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Newquist. Previous roll call by Ortiz, seconded by Logan. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
23-150, authorizing an agreement between Grand Haven Homeowners Association and Carillon Lakes Homeowners Association for the maintenance of the traffic signals at County Highway 36, County Board Districts 5 and 9, and I so move.
Second, Freeman.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Ortiz. Previous roll call by Logan, seconded by Freeman. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 23-151, authorizing approval of established altered speed zones, 667 through 672, along County Highways 6, 37, 51, in quite a few county board districts, and I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Dean Schlotman. Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Mitchell. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
23-152, authorizing the Will County State's Attorney's Office to proceed with condemnation cases regarding the county's improvements of Laraway Road, County Board Districts 2 and 6, and I will make the motion.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Logan. Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Richmond. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
23-153, authorizing the county's, Will County State's Attorney's Office to proceed with condemnation cases regarding the county's improvement of County Highway 4 and 64, County Board District 5, and I so move.
Second, Freeman.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call?
Previous roll, Ogala.
Ogala, seconded by Mueller. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
23-154, authorizing Will County State's Attorney's Office to proceed with condemnation cases regarding the county's improvements of West River Road, County Highway 26, and County Board District 1, and I would like to make that motion.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Dean Schlotman. Previous roll call by Ogala, seconded by Logan. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And number 13, Resolution 23-155, correcting a Scrivener's error on attachment to Resolution number 22-404. Cherry Hill Road, County Highway 86, and I so move.
Motion by Van Dyne, seconded by Diaz. Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Richmond. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
And our next Public Works and Transportation Committee meeting is scheduled for June 6, 2023 at 9 a.m., and that will conclude our report. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to Public Health and Safety, Chair Freeman.
Well, it's going to be hard to beat those two, but I think I probably have it. So, Public Health and Safety met, and we had a report from the Sunny Hill Nursing Home, Health Department, Dr. Burke, and we also had the Sheriff Department with the cold cases come in. All of those reports are on the agenda. You can feel free to look at them. We have one resolution to bring forward, extending Sunny Hill Nursing Home admission policy for non-Will County residents, and I so move.
Motion by Freeman, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Mitchell. Seconded by Ortiz. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Is
And
there
our
a report
next
that needs to
public
go on
health and
file?
Pardon?
Is there a report that needs to go on file today?
Oh, there is.
Okay, thank you.
Report to be placed on file.
Which
Pardon?
Which report to be placed on file? Or,
It's from the Will County Health Department
Okay.
and Community Health Center, their 2022 annual report.
thank you. Motion by Freeman, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Mitchell, seconded by Coleman. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
See, I was in a hurry to get faster. So our next Public Health and Safety Committee meeting is scheduled for June 13th at 9 a.m. Hope to see you all there.
Thank you. Moving on to Legislative Committee, Chair Berkowitz.
He approached us regarding some concerns that they had with Senate Bill 0333. That was taken back to our legislators, that the language in the bill was amended and to the satisfaction of the CAC. And for that reason, we would like to amend Resolution number 23-112, the fiscal year 2023 state legislative agenda, to amend our position on SB 333, the assault survivor reporting, to neutral. And I so move.
Motion by Berkowitz, seconded by O'Gala.
Second, Mitchell?
Seconded by, discussion, County Board Member O'Gala.
Thank you. I know there's a lot of discussion about the way we have begun using our state legislative agenda and even our federal legislative agenda, should we make some changes. So we make those usually the end of the year, in November, so that we're ready, so we can get it to the legislature when they start their session in January. We have no idea what bills will be coming forward. I believe as a legislative body here at the county, it's very important for those in Springfield to know how we feel about certain things. And this would be legislation that impacts the county. It won't be talking about things that are generic and not specific to county government. I think it's very important for county government or like the CAC, something like that, because our input can make a difference. I think the input that they got, so for our Senate Bill 333, was that so many people were opposed to it, they made that change. So it's good for them to hear from us, because the state legislature, we are bombed here with what we have. Can you imagine being a state legislature? You have piles of things to vote on. No way can you possibly read everything, because it takes me a long time to read everything. But if you get information from a group or from our county board that says we support or oppose something, I think that makes sense. And I think all of you should consider that. And if you don't, and you're on the legislative committee, I suggest you step down from that committee, and I'll appoint somebody, and Jackie and Steve and I will appoint somebody who supports that idea. Because we're a legislative body. If all we do is create this packet once a year and give it to them and never have interaction with them, what's our purpose? Then stop meeting. We won't meet again, cancel all that, and we won't meet until, I don't know, maybe October when we start building the new legislative agenda. I think it's important for us to have a voice so that they know that. That's why it's important for us to have our meetings with them so they get to know us, because it makes a difference when you have a conversation with somebody. They understand from your perspective why you oppose or support something. I think this is really important for you guys. I've been on this board. I'm in my 11th year now. I felt that was something that we were deficient. There was a time when Suzanne Hart was the chair of this committee, and she would frequently go to Springfield and advocate for this or that, and I think it makes a difference. So I'm hoping that you guys will understand this perspective, and if you do not agree, I'd love to have that conversation with you, because I really believe that's a very important issue. Thank you.
We have a motion and a second. Is there a previous, or would you like roll call? Previous roll call by Ballage, seconded by Freeman. All in favor? Or I'm sorry, Mitchell, I'm sorry. We had a previous by Mitchell. We're going to second by Ballage. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. I wrote it down.
As Chair Ogala mentioned, we are the voice of our constituents in Will County. We know our districts the best. We know what our residents and our families and our businesses need. So being an active voice, advocating for them, and helping our legislators do a good job, because they can't possibly be everywhere and be on top of everything with the amount of the number of bills we see being pushed through constantly. So this again will be an active effort, and I believe a great accomplishment to continue to represent our residents in the best way possible, and that's with these legislative updates. Thank you. Our next legislative committee meeting is scheduled for June 6th, 2023 at 12 p.m.
Thank you. Chair Mueller, Capital Improvement.
Good morning, team. Today, we only have one resolution to bring forward, so let's get to it. 23-158, authorizing county executive to execute a professional services agreement with Wisjani Elsner Associates, Inc. for professional design services required for roof replacement and masonry repairs at the adult detention facility, and I so move.
Motion by Mueller, seconded by Ogala. Previous roll call by Dean Schlottman, seconded by Parker. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. If you're interested in reading any of the reports we received, they're on the agenda from Capital Improvements. Just some building updates, things we're doing. Otherwise, our next meeting will be June 6th, 10 a.m. in the committee room. Thank you very much.
All right, folks, I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to ask for a motion to recess for about 10 minutes so we can have a break and go to the washroom, and that's because you're cheering. Can I have a motion to recess real quick? Motion by Mueller, seconded by Freeman. Previous roll call by Van Dyne, seconded by Williams. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. 10 minutes isn't really long. But thank you. All right. Thank you. Walking in, so we're good. All right, we will move on to Executive Committee. Chair Ogala.
Thank you. First resolution on the Executive Committee is 23-159, authorizing the amended lease with Bays Glenwood LLC for the Veterans Assistance Commission, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Previous roll call by Mueller.
Second.
Seconded by Ballage. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 2 is Resolution 23-160, approving the list of applicants under the ARPA Economic Development Pillar to move to Stage 3 of the process. I want everyone to know that this has been a very long, tedious process that we have taken a lot of time to look through and ensure that the way we've done things is 100%, that there is no favoritism, and that everybody who's receiving a grant is getting it because they have met the federal guidelines as well as other guidelines that were set in place by this board. I will make that motion.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Mueller. Previous roll call by Ballage, seconded by Williams. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 3, Resolution 23-161, approving the list of applicants under the ARPA infrastructure pillar, the open application process to move to the next stage of the process, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Van Dyne. Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Newquist. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 4, Resolution 23-162, authorizing funding for corporate fund cash reserves for the new election equipment for the Will County Clerk's Office. I want to say thank you to our financial team, Rashawn and Karen Hennessy, for bringing forward this information so that we could do this in a nice, clean process, get it done, and make that clerk smile rather than coming up nervous all the time when I see her, that we're going to put new, updated equipment that we expect that will not fail. I mean, things fail, but not with the worry that we have equipment that runs on software that is no longer supported by Microsoft technology. So I will make that motion.
Motion by Ogala, seconded, Trinier. Well, we're going to have some discussions. County Board Member Ballage.
Yeah, I want to make, just like Judy, I want to thank everybody for doing that, because that was the issue I would have drove you nuts with until it happened. But the bottom line, though, is when we were voting on it last time, I would vote yes no matter what. But I was trying to bring up a point that when we have, like the FEMA dollars that we got, okay, that's designated for a certain thing. ARPA dollars are designated for a certain thing. And then cash reserves are designated for whatever the hell we want, right? So I was trying to make a point, not that I don't want that, because I'd be fighting right now if we didn't get it, I guarantee you. But I was trying to make a point that if you have money that's designated for something, you try to use it only for that stuff. You don't try to go, like we could have took all the FEMA money and bought the computers and all the stuff that the clerk needs, and then had $4 million more in reserve, and then we could use the reserve money for whatever we want. We could do, every single item that we want that doesn't have an attachment to it, we could do in that, right? We could take reserves and use it for putting flowers in the middle of the room here, or a built-in pool in the parking lot so we could go swimming. I mean, we could do whatever we want with the reserve money. We can't do it with designated money, and that's what I was trying to bring out, but then I realized I better shut my mouth and just say yes before I get somebody confused. And so that's why I said I was kind of questioning it at the end. Because we're gonna have a lot of times like that when it's gonna come up today with FEMA money. Do we spend the money whatever, on what we don't have to? Or do we only use that money for specifically things that are included in it that we can't get money somewhere else from? So that's kind of where I think I confused people what I said. So maybe somebody else, like Jim, will have to explain it for me later on, because I have it in my mind. You have a pot you can't use and a pot you can use. So you use the pot you can use for anything, but if you can't use it, you want to spend that money only on what it is, not go outside of that pot.
I
Whatever.
hope it's all clear now.
No
County-
one's clear. God bless you.
County Board Member Trenier.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I just wanted to point out something that a few members of my caucus raised, and that is there is a bill in Springfield. Don't know if it's going to pass, but it's about ranked choice voting, and their concern was that make sure that our equipment is adjustable, let me just say, in case we do get to a situation, maybe not this cycle, but at some point in the future, if they do switch over to ranked choice voting like so many other states have done, that we would have the ability to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. County Board Member Richmond.
So Steve, I agree with you on the election stuff, and we'll take that other part of the conversation offline, so thank you very much.
understood, right? So you can explain it better?
It's extremely clear. Thanks, Steve.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Is there a previous? Previous Van Dyne. Second of Costa. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you. Next is resolution number 23-163, authorizing the second ARPA payment to compensate certain staff at Sunny Hill Nursing Home for extraordinary hours worked during the COVID-19 pandemic. I want everyone to know that these ARPA dollars are not from our ARPA dollars. It's not from our health pillar. This is the ARPA dollars from the state of Illinois that is compensating, and that's why we're doing the second payment, because the state of Illinois has directed funds for this. So there is no confusion as to why we're giving a second payment to one group and maybe not another. And I will make that motion.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Berkowitz. Previous roll call by Mueller. Seconded by Dean Schlottman. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Next is, number 6 is Resolution 23-164, appropriating the Federal Emergency Management FEMA reimbursement in county departments. So I'd like to have a little conversation about that.
You want to, can we get a motion? We got a motion by Ogala, seconded by Van Dalen. Discussion, Chair Ogala, go on.
It's not really the motion I wanted, but I wanted to discuss it before we had a motion, but that's fine.
You should have a motion in a second before you discuss.
Then we'll have another motion after, fine.
You have to make.
Okay, so here's the thing with this FEMA money. First, it came to Finance Committee. We got a very high-level description of the different possible uses and the dollars allocated to that. It was not completely defined because all our meetings on the days we do leadership ran way over. It caused us to go to leadership late. We weren't ending leadership till 5 o'clock or there around. We never really had conversation about that prior. So we had to move from finance to executive committee to get that information. So once we got that information, it just told to us that we were going to do this or that or what have you. But there was, again, no conversation with leadership. So FEMA dollars, the reason why the FEMA dollars were granted to us is because we took money from our corporate reserve and paid for things that we needed to do during COVID. So that was we expended funds we were not planning to because nobody knew COVID was coming. FEMA in the past has always been specific to like floods and tornadoes and such, but because this was a national pandemic, they allowed this FEMA grant to be available to reimburse us with those dollars. So the executive's office is the office that writes grants. County board office doesn't write grants, the executive's office does. I know what it's like. I've applied for 2 FEMA grants, and a previous job that I had is a lot of detail, a lot of information you have to put, so I know it's a lot of time. The FEMA reimbursement was to fully repay the loan, which was given to the health department to do the things they needed to do, like the mass vaccination, our call center, things like that, that we had to spend the dollars on. We were provided with a nice list of things. I still have some questions as to specific details on this. So the point is of this whole thing, and I'm going to ask for a motion to move this back to executive committee, because I think we need to have the conversation, okay? We need to have the conversation to say, do you support the county executive spending $4.7 million out of the corporate fund, amending the fiscal year budget to do these things? Now, I've read this, and I appreciate the detail, and I can tell you I support a lot of stuff in it. What I don't support is the process. We need to have better, I don't want to be caught off guard. I read this last night. There was the first opportunity that I had to read that. I made myself little cards here that if I could tell everybody the little specific details, I have that here. I like to be well prepared and have the conversation with asking, Micah, do you support, and I'm not asking you to answer, but do you support the county executive doing something like this? Mark Revis, do you support the county executive? And if everyone says yes, we do that. But I want to have the conversation before we vote on it. I want to have full detailed information before we go ahead and vote on it. So like, we talk about various things like county board office space. What are we specifically saying? Boardroom furniture, what are we specifically saying? There are other things that I know there's very specific. Child Advocacy Center. People might be confused there because of the fact that I thought we already gave them money for that. Well, we did, but this is I'm guessing this is the current Child Advocacy Center to remodel that so we can move maintenance. I believe maintenance is going in there to remodel that so it's good for maintenance. But that's not clear from the information. So I'm asking for more information on this kind of thing because I want us to work better as a team. So I'm not upset if I see something come forward, so anything come forward from any department. I want them to give us the information so there's less guessing. Much like with the Land Use Committee, the Land Use Department gives every detail possible, and then if you don't know, they can come up and cite encyclopedias because these people have done this for so long. Like Joe's Public Works and Transportation Committee, Jeff Ronaldson and his crew can give us all kinds of information that we might want to know for a specific topic. So that's what I'm asking for. I'm asking to send it back to executive committee so that we can have the conversation. Those further details can be had. And I honestly like a lot of the things that are suggested, and we have money in cash reserves, so I would support moving it forward out of executive committee next month. I want these details. I would like to set this for us as a precedent going forward so that we know. And sometimes I don't have the time to talk to Jennifer. Sometimes Jennifer doesn't have the time perhaps to talk to me. Lots of things happen. And so I just want to set this is how I'd like to operate. I think this is a wise choice, and I would appreciate a yes vote to move it back to executive committee.
So I'm going to make a motion to amend that motion, the one that we didn't vote on yet.
You don't have to.
It hasn't been seconded yet.
So just make a motion.
There was a motion to amend,
The committee.
pardon me?
I motioned to.
You second it?
Motion to send it back to the committee.
Jude,
Executive
you
committee.
second. Okay, so there's a motion to send it back to committee, a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to send it back to committee? County Board Member Trunier.
You spoke with us last night, and I know you didn't have time this week. I don't know what happened in your schedule to go to the Republican caucus. But you spoke to us about 3 individuals getting injured in our parking lot. That's my only concern. Is a delay going to potentially open us up to more situations where people get hurt? Apparently, our parking lot is quite atrocious. I'm not sure why it wasn't included in our budget already, if it's that bad, but I'm just wondering, can we get that ball rolling whether or not this goes back to committee?
I don't have that, like I said, I don't have that direct answer right now for you. Again, a lot of these monies were applied for situations where we had not budgeted for this year, and I can't at this point say directly if our last budget put that top on their priority. I know it was discussed, but I can't remember if it was actually put in, so I cannot answer that.
I just feel like if the safety and health of our employees is at risk, that it's important we address that. And I understand, even if we approve this today, you're not fixing the parking lot tomorrow with this money. You've got to go through a bidding process, et cetera, et cetera. And that's my concern. You know, if we've got people getting injured. I understand Chair Ogala's request for more details, to know more. I understand that part, but I also understand the needs of the county. And when we've got people's health at risk, I think you mentioned somebody had a broken ankle. I don't want to talk about who. I'm probably would get in trouble for that. But, you know, if we've got employees that are getting hurt in a parking lot that's really got issues, I just hate to slow down the process. That's all.
All right, so we have, and just so you know, we have a motion and a second to bring it back to committee. We're going to comment on, okay, just press your button. We have 3 of you here, so if you're going to address on whether or not to bring it back to committee. Okay, then I'll hold off on that. Newquist, County Board Member Newquist. Oops, sorry, I turned you off. There you go.
Okay, mine is to address, my comment is to address bringing it back to committee. When this money was presented in the Finance Committee meeting, I thought we all were in general agreement, you know, as to the spending priorities. And so I'm comfortable with moving ahead. I mean, at some point, we have to trust our staff to allocate money. And also, I want to point out that this was a grant, and we've allocated other grant monies today for other departments without asking for a specific list of items that they're going to spend it on. So I'm not sure why this is any different. That's my point. Thank you.
So I'd like to make a comment.
Hold on, we
I'd
have
like to
people-
make a comment
Hold on,
there.
no, we have people who have been waiting to call.
I
We'll get you,
understand, but to
County Board
clarify
Member
that.
Ballage. This is, we have a process. You're going to talk, Judy. We're not going to forget you. County Board Member Richmond.
So when it came to Finance Committee, it was just a couple of, I shouldn't say a couple, probably about 8 bullets on a piece of paper with very little information. And anytime we're going to spend,
Yeah, you can't
$4.5 million or something like that, we need to have a little bit more detail. I know the clerk's office was very good about getting us back information and getting us on the election equipment and stuff like that. And I think what we need to do is just have that kind of detail so that this way we can make good decisions on how we're going to prioritize and or spend our dollars. So that's, I agree with you, Sherry. It did come to finance, and that's why we kicked it to executive, is not to delay it and have it come back a month from now. It came back the following week. So it all comes down to, level of detail and communication, and that's really what we're looking for as far as how we're going to spend these dollars going forward, as well as the priority of the county. So that's all. Thank you.
County Board Member Ballage.
Yeah, whenever there's a public safety issue, like a park, like I didn't realize we were a problem like that. So if there's a public safety issue, we could use cash reserves. That's what I was talking about before. You could take money from there and do it, and you have to do it right away. It's one of those things you can't have someone get hurt. So if we have a problem like that at the parking lot, we should just go out and do it. Have a special meeting to approve doing the parking lot. And take 5 minutes. At the next meeting, whatever it is, the first meeting on the next Tuesday, of the month, just take a 5-minute special meeting to approve fixing the parking lot immediately and use cash reserves. I mean, we shouldn't be pushing that off, because if someone gets hurt, we're in trouble. We get sued. And that's the last thing we want. So I suggest, I'm not telling you you've got to do it, it's the wrong place to do it here. But we really need to just put an emergency meeting at 10 to 8 or 10 to 9 at the next Tuesday, the first Tuesday that we meet, and just vote on one thing, to do the parking lot. And we could do it in 10 minutes.
Chair Gogala.
Thank you. Discussion of the parking lot. The parking lot here has some issues. The
Understand
parking
whether or
lot,
not to-
I'm going to
okay.
continue talking here.
I mean,
The
we're trying to
parking
just
lot-
get it
the
back
par-
to
Jennifer,
committee.
I'm going to continue talking here. The parking lot at Sunny Hill Nursing Home is a complete and absolute disaster. So having these conversations would have been very good to have, not bringing it part of of the spending. Let me make, Sherry, I would like you to read this. The county submitted 3 claims to FEMA for reimbursement of expenses incurred for the setup and operations of the mass vaccination sites during the height of COVID. So that was a FEMA thing. It's not your typical grant. The reimbursement was used to fully repay the loan provided to the health department. Put that money back into our capital reserves fund. The county executive has decided she'd like to have these things, and like I said, I agree with many of the things on there. I know these are needs, but I think that it should come before us and we say, yes, we totally think we should make this expenditure and change the fiscal year budget. So it's not a typical grant like the other grants that they get. They apply for certain things. This is paying money back to our corporate fund. The money did not come specific to doing a parking lot and software and things like that. I know their needs. I want to have us start a new way of having conversations and getting these things done. That's what has to happen here. We didn't have the conversation. She didn't come to our caucus and have that conversation with us. She came to yours. Perhaps, maybe that would change things, but I think the whole board should be able to hear this information. Us, the 3 in leadership, should be able to go back to all of you and say, listen, in leadership this week, we talked about this. The county executive presented blah, 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 blah. We had our input into it, and this is how we move forward. So that's why I'm asking it to go back to committee, to have that one next set of conversations and to set a precedent to this is how we will move forward, so that we don't have these situations that pop up and say, hey, this is now I'm scrambling. And I had time, like I said, to read this last night. I don't know how many of you read it in full. I didn't get to read it till last night. So I would ask that you guys vote in favor of sending it back. Thank you.
County Board Member Coleman.
So I'm not extremely clear on this, but it's like a running theme, what I feel is somewhat of micromanaging in a lot of situations. It's a staff that works in the county executive's office. They're here in their spaces every day. They understand their needs. We provide and approve a budget every year, and now to go back and say, well, for this specific thing, we need to know this, this, and this. I think we need to trust the judgment of the county executive's office for the things that are needed. And if there's something that is not known, for me, I take it upon myself to find the answer. So throwing digs like Jennifer's not available, she missed this, she missed that. She has a job to do. She cannot meet every day on individual issues, right? So if we could set a standing appointment to go through some things before meetings from the leadership that's over this board. Because when I want to know something, I call. I need to know something about the problem-solving court today. Saw one of the attorneys. He said, this is the person you need to talk to. I made an appointment with him to go in there and have a conversation with them. So we spend a lot of time trying to do other people's jobs on this board, and it's getting very nerve-wracking. And I've said nothing for almost 2.5 years. But every meeting is something we're picking at. Let people do their job. She won the election by a long shot. That means the people across the county trust her judgment, believe that she's a good leader. It's a difference in not liking someone's leadership style and someone doing something that's illegal. So you don't have to like how she does things. If she's getting the job done, we don't need to go and start picking different things that we want to have her do, give us these receipts on, as people say. So we got to quit micromanaging. It's more important things. The whole health department situation is on my mind heavily, and I'll save that for public comment. Okay, we have a lot of other things to worry about when we're having people work somewhere for 25 years and their salary is $45,000 when they retire. That's what we need to be concerned about.
So I'd like
County
to.
Board Member Van Dyne.
Thank you. This discussion is whether we send it back to committee or not, and everybody does have their own opinion. My personal opinion is the information is provided. Natalie said it more eloquently than I can. I trust you and your staff and your judgment, and so I would be willing to move forward today with the vote. Thank you.
So I would like.
Can we, there's a process. County Board Member Revis.
I know that I'm the county board chair.
You're yelling at a meeting. You're out of order. You're out of order. And you are the chair of the county board. Like a wand for a new office. County Board Member Berkowitz.
Thank you, Madam Executive. So I've got a couple questions about the items on this list, but first I want to make a comment. Our responsibility as county board members, we are elected by the people. We're elected by the taxpayer. It is not out of order for us to want that voice. Every member on this committee should have the opportunity to be able to discuss and ask questions. This process hasn't happened that way. And we have to be more accountable. We can only make good decisions if we understand what we are voting on. Our committees give us that opportunity. There is nothing inappropriate about having that type of a process. We are not telling the county executive that she can't do her job. We are simply being accountable to the people who put us in office. It's about knowing what the facts are, and when you take that vote, you make an educated decision. It's not about a reflection on an election and who won the election. It's not about politics. It's about doing your job and doing it right and doing it for no other reason than to be accountable to the people in this county. So I have a couple questions.
We're making a motion to move it back
Okay.
to committee first. So
All right.
if that's the
And
motion.
so
if
I
it-
will
if
be
it-
supporting that motion to
Okay.
move it back to
So if there's
committee.
questions regarding that, then we will move on with your questions
And,
regarding.
and I will have the opportunity to.
Absolutely.
Thank you
Everyone
very
always
much.
has the opportunity
Thank
to talk.
you.
Member Revis, but I will say, we're supposed to have a decorum here, and we have to have our chair, who is supposed to be the leader of this entire board, follow the decorum. That's all I'm asking.
There have been times when we have been prevented from speaking, and it's happened, and it has happened.
Okay, well.
So I don't want to pick on one person, but
At the county board, you have been prevented from speaking. At the county board meetings.
there have been times when we have been told, we're done,
Wow.
we're moving on,
Okay.
and people.
When we
so-
go to the next session, okay, folks, for people who have been on county boards, there's an agenda we follow, and there's appropriate times that you speak, you make motions, and after we pass, to go back is just not appropriate. I'm not quieting your voice. You have the opportunity. You decided you didn't want to do it, and you want to do it later. It's just not how it works. I'm trying to get us out in a fashionable time. I'm trying to run an organized meeting. All right? It's not a perfect process. Obviously, it's not a perfect process, but I do my best. And it's never, to say that I do it to shut people's voices is inaccurate and untruthful. County Board Member Revit.
Thank you, Madam Executive. So, first off, Chair Ogala, I am going to be supporting your motion to move this back into committee. The reason why is because this is something that should not be so partisan, but it is clearly now way more partisan than it needs to be, and there's a clear disconnect. And not saying any specific person is at fault, but I do want to make this point. This was in finance. We were then told that this needed to be sent to executive. Now it's in front of the board, and now it needs to go back into executive. So what happened the last time it was in executive, and what is going to prevent the same thing from happening again? So this is more of a plea to where we need to maybe set aside some of our, I don't know what the term would be, but we need to set aside some of this, animosity on both sides and work together and productively get these things done when we send them back into committee. So me, as a board member and fellow board members, can vote on these matters. But that's just where I'm at. I know I missed caucus this week, so I didn't get to share these opinions in the caucus meeting, so I apologize for that. So I guess this is just a plea to maybe kind of work in a more pragmatic fashion on both sides, not just Chair Ogala, but, the Madam Executive as well. So again, I appreciate the time, and I hope we can move forward with this in the near future.
County Board Member Acosta.
Like Board Member Revis, I also want to move forward with this, not in the near future, but now, so I'm going to call the question.
Motion to call the question. Is there a second? Can we just? Motion to call the question, County Board. First, second, is there any discussion on moving to call the question? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. This is just to call the question, so then we can vote on Senate vote. So we're moving to call the question.
Balich.
Just to call the question. Just to call the question.
It's just to vote on. It's just,
to vote to send it back. We're
just
just
to,
calling the question.
just to, Trainier. Dean Schlottman. Van Dyne. Pretzel. Newquist. Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala. 20 affirmative.
20 affirmative, we will call the question. So there was a motion by Chair Ogala to remand this back to committee. It was seconded by County Board Member Balich. Is there any discussion on remanding it back? County Board Member Trenier?
I might not really like how this came to us. I agree with Board Member Berkowitz. We have a process. This went to 2 committees, folks. There was no disagreement about anything that was on the list that was brought to my attention in either of the committees. I was there for both of them. While I might not like some of the discord that's going on, if we have committees and we aren't going to listen to their recommendation, I'm not sure we should have a committee.
And Jackie, I appreciate that. I guess we already had discussion on this, so I'm sorry. I have to cut you off there. So we are going to now take a roll call vote, so I apologize. We're taking a roll call and vote on remanding it back to committee.
Balich. Trainier. Dean Schlottman. Van Dyne. Pretzel. Newquist. Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Winfrey, oh no, sorry, Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, yes. 12 yes.
With 12 in the affirmative, 8 in the negative, the motion carries, right?
One abstention.
12 in the
Oh, yeah.
affirmative, 7
Seven.
in opposed,
One abstention.
Thank you. Item number 7, resolution number 23-165, authorizing the distribution of cannabis funds to the court-appointed special advocate. I always so move, and I'd like to make the first comment, please.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Mueller. Discussion, County Board, or Chair Ogala.
We've always had conversation prior from the chair to discuss items.
There's so many differences, I know.
So many differences, you're right, changes day to day. So I would like to say that this was brought to the attention of us by our team, the cannabis team, which includes Raquel Mitchell and Natalie Coleman, that there was a deficiency for CASA. CASA is a very, very important agency group that helps the children in the county. I think this is an absolutely wonderful use of our cannabis dollars. I want to thank you, ladies, for bringing that to the forefront. And that's all I have to say.
There's a motion, there's a second. Madam Clerk, is there any discussion? Any more discussion?
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Balich.
Yes.
Trainier. Dean Schlottman. Van Dyne. Pretzel. Newquist. Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala.
Yes.
20 affirmative.
For the affirmative, the motion carries.
Thank you. Next is item number 8, resolution 23-166, transferring appropriations within various fiscal year 23 county board budgets, and I so move.
Motion Ballard.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Balich. Is there any discussion? Transferring money around. Is there a previous? Previous by Mueller, seconded by Logan. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Number 9, resolution 23-167, authorizing an IGA with the County of Will, the Will County Sheriff's Office, and the Village of Frankfort related to the Will County Gang Suppression Unit, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Pretzel. Previous roll call by Dean Schlottman. Seconded by Richmond. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Item number 10, resolution 23-168, awarding bid for fuel station control upgrades at the 3 DOT Department of Transportation locations in Lockport, Joliet, and Moni, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Van Dyne. Previous roll call by Berkowitz. Seconded by Mueller. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item number 11, resolution 23-169, awarding bid for tire collection event, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded, help me with your last name. So seconded by Ogala, was it, motion by Ogala, was it you, Julie? Seconded by Berkowitz. Previous roll call by Dean Schlottman. Seconded by Richmond. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 12, resolution 23-170, authorizing the RTA fiscal year 2022 and fiscal year 2023 application for setting for Section 5310, the Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities Continuation Projects Grant, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Previous roll call by Mueller, seconded by Newquist. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you. The next executive committee meeting is scheduled for June 1st, 2023 at 10 a.m. We next move on to the appointments by the county executive. And I just want to say something here, and I know I, as a chair, have the right to speak at this point. One thing I would like to talk about is the appointments. So the county executive makes the appointments. County board chair makes no appointments because that legislation got passed earlier this year, taking away any of those powers. Well, it's true, Jennifer. I'm going to continue to say
The county executive always done the appointments. Stop.
County executive
You're
did
telling
the
the county
appointments for
executive
some
always
things.
done the
For
appointments.
some things, yes, okay, so.
Know that what you're governing.
It's my time to talk, so.
I'm not
what
going
I
to let
wanna-
you sit
what I
here and
want
tell
to-
lies, Julie.
What I'd like to say is that appointments are done with advice and consent of the board. We need to have a clear definition of what actually advice and consent means. Advice to me would mean at times when there's a position to be appointed to a specific area that we should have that conversation to get the advice from, say, Steve Balish and Jim Richmond, or Dan Butler and Sherry Newquist, if it's a district thing. Some things, some appointments are countywide, the PACE appointment, the VAC appointment, various things like that. So it doesn't always mean that the county executive brings something forward, and as Mark Revis so nicely went and said, it becomes a political thing. This isn't a political thing. This is about making sure the appointments are the best chosen for that board that's getting selected. Shouldn't be a political appointment. It should be the best person for the job. That's all I want to say. I would like to make a motion to vote on the appointments individually.
Motion by Ogala to vote on them individually, seconded by Dean Schlottman. Is there any discussion on voting on these individually? Jackie Trunier.
Mine isn't on the individually, just, I do want to say, I just read the ordinance for one of the appointments that's going to come up in the future, not today. And just to be clear, it is political. It says in that ordinance, and this is for Board of Review, that the party who got the most votes, that party, 2 of the people on that board should be from that party. And that the third person on that board should be from the opposite party. So there is some political involvement in these processes. And, you know, I've run for office. I ran to be the mayor of Bolingbrook. I ran twice. Thank God I didn't win. Seriously. Anyway, I'm not going to digress too much. But what I would say is this. Just like when I got selected to be the administrative assistant at the township, when my party won that election, had I become the mayor, I would have made political appointments. My chief of staff would have been somebody who was of the same party and same mindset as me. Those kinds of positions are at-will employment. People make political decisions for certain jobs. Now, when you're picking the director of the health department, no. It's not a political pick. You need somebody with those qualifications to do that job. But to say that this is never political isn't exactly true. At least I know for the Board of Review because I just read the ordinance while we were sitting here. So that's all I wanted to say, that sometimes they are political. And that's okay. It's meant to be by law.
And for the record, the Board of Review is not on the agenda.
not.
Okay,
No,
on the agenda today, just so
said
you're
when
aware.
coming up.
Yeah. All right. All right.
And are we,
So there's a motion and a second to call them all individually. We have a discussion on that? There's no more discussion, so we're going to.
I do have one question.
Okay.
Is it individually as in by name or individually as by
Office. By office.
I'm
It's either way.
To vote on individually by By the office.
By the
You don't have
office.
to name any names. I don't want to read everybody's name.
All right, so we have a motion, a second to read it off by, we have we're still in discussion. Julie Berkowitz. I don't want to be.
Thank you, Madam Executive. I have a comment about, and this is about, casting your vote. I see in your executive appointment summary with the individual that you are nominating, for example, for planning and zoning. One thing that's helpful for me is I would like to know if that individual has a history or is knowledgeable about what a board member needs to know sitting on planning and zoning. Is there, do they have experience with townships, with district commissions? Do they have experience with planning and zoning, floodwater, everything that impacts the cases that come forward? And that's not offered here. So I think that I would appreciate that, to have that.
For just that
knowledge.
one, or for,
For-
see, again,
for-
there's a standard, just so people know, there's a standard application when people apply for these positions. So
And-
they require applications. Most of it comes through discussions via me when we're
Right.
planning that. So obviously PZC is a very unique one. And
Yes.
yeah, experience does matter in some of those cases. And also, sometimes it's a matter of just being able to find a body for those positions too, because we have hundreds, we have a lot of boards and, having to get 7 or 8. So sometimes people don't come with experience, but they come with the right attitude and wanting to learn
Well, if
too.
we're going to do the job right, we need to find the person who can do the job.
Well, yes.
And so I'm asking that in the future that we.
Are you asking specifically if
add
the
this?
PZC person has experience?
PZ,
Yes.
yes, and then also, some of the sanitary districts, that, again.
Most of them are just, those are all reappointments.
Okay, but if you have a new applicant, how do we know? So I think that
yeah.
it's important, because when we see the cases coming before us, and we see residents that are asking for our help, if we don't have a knowledgeable base, this is just going to continue to escalate.
And I understand, and they are put forward in executive committee too, so if, again, we can answer questions on individual ones as well, so. All right, so I forgot what the motion is. What are we motioning on here? We're motioning on individual runs, okay. So I need a list of the individual ones. So, Judy, are you going to, oh, we have to vote. Madam Clerk, do we vote?
If you vote,
Madam
then I
Clerk,
can talk.
please call the roll. Do we vote on that?
We did not vote.
As individuals, individual offices. We're voting on whether or not to vote on individual offices. All right, so Madam Clerk, please call the roll. I will put you on. By offices. So we're not going to name people, we're going to do by office.
Oh, okay.
By
Appointment. Balich.
We're doing an A?
No.
Oh, the vote, yes.
Trainier. Dean Schlottman. Van Dyne. Pretzel. Newquist. Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala.
Yes.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15? 15 affirmative.
15 affirmative, the motion carries. So would you like to you're going to read them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you,
First appointment is to the Will County Mental Health Board. We have 2 people to be appointed. I would like to make that motion.
motion by Ogala, seconded by Trinier. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Yes, I will.
Balich.
Yes.
Trainier. Dean Schlottman. Van Dyne. Pretzel. Newquist. Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogalla.
Yes.
20 affirmative.
20 affirmative, the motion carries.
The next is for the Will County Planning and Zoning Commission, and I would like to iterate with what Member Berkowitz said, is that I think we should get.
There's a motion,
we
is
should
there a
get-
second? Second, Trenier, County Board Chair.
We should get the person who has the most qualifications for the position. There is another applicant that has applied for this. And I think this is another thing with the Planning and Zoning Commission. They do not match your county board districts. There's planning and zoning districts, there's county board districts. They don't match. This particular district includes the townships of Washington, Will, Crete, and Monier, half of which I represent, half of which is in County Board District 3. I had represented that district for the last 10 years. So I know the people in the district really well. I know their qualifications. The person that the county executive is bringing forward is a person who has qualifications for many other boards, but she does not have experience with these type of things, has lived in the incorporated area all the time. The other applicant was a county board member. The other applicant sat on the land use committee. The other applicant lives in unincorporated Will County. And if you don't live in unincorporated Will County, you don't understand the differences in how things happen here. We vote for planning and zoning only on issues in the unincorporated area. So if we can get somebody from the unincorporated area, that makes sense. Just like any other board, mental health board, if we can get somebody who has a mental health background, put them on versus somebody who has only experience in catering. I think it's the responsible thing to do. I don't think I'm asking for a lot. Thank you.
Quick question though, just so you know, we have deadlines we have to make. Both applicants who I was able to respond to, one applied after a name was put forward, so people are aware.
And I understand that.
Yeah, all right. County Board Member Newquist.
I just want to point out that the person being proposed for planning and zoning in my district has been a municipal trustee. And I know it's not exactly the same as being in an unincorporated area, but having been a municipal trustee myself, trust me, you get plenty of experience in, planning and zoning. It's just as contentious in municipalities as it is in the unincorporated area. Thank you.
So if
So
I
we
could,
have
I would like to make a comment. Well, that is true, and it is true because Sherry, I know, served on Steger for a while. This particular person who's being brought forward, I'm aware of certain things that I do not want to bring forward here about her time as a trustee and the inappropriate use of village staff.
Yeah.
No, seriously, we have people making comments here. This is about the appropriate use of somebody for the position.
Be really careful. We're out of order. We can't talk about people's character. You probably just opened yourself up to something. So we are just talking about whether they are qualified, whether personal feelings, or what rumors should not be spoken here.
Not rumors.
Is there a motion and a second? I recall we have a motion. Is there any other discussions that are non-inflammatory? Okay, Madam Clerk, please call.
Balich.
Yes. Oh, wait, no, I'm on that staff, I was thinking the next one. The answer is no. And believe it or not, the other candidate was a Democrat.
There is no other candidate.
No.
So you're a no?
Yeah.
Trainier.
Yeah. You
Dean
are.
Schlottman.
No.
Van Dyne.
Yes.
Pretzel.
No.
Newquist.
Yes.
Richmond. Parker. Williams. Diaz. Coleman. Logan. Freeman. Revis. Mitchell. Ortiz. Berkowitz. Mueller. Costa. Ogala.
No.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can't change? I thought we weren't able to change
Yes,
votes
she
anymore.
can. Yes, she can. She can reconsider a vote.
Anyone else?
Anyone else would like to change their vote?
She's changing her
Janet,
vote
change it to no.
4, 5, 6, 7.
I understand.
7.
We do go to, we do go to executive committee as well. And as I mentioned, I did call, because I could not make committee this week. I did call numerous people to see if you had questions regarding anything on the agenda too. And I understand that, yes, you can absolutely ask questions. We've answered questions on the person. I'm just being sensitive because it's dealing with individual folks. And so if you have a question regarding the position or qualifications, yeah, I believe they keep it in your county board office too. Mhm. Yes. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. I would think you would want to do it before it got to this point, yeah. I mean, that's my personal style, yeah. I don't think it's appropriate for us to, talk about individual, that, I'm just concerned about that for people, but yeah. All right, so we were in the middle, sorry, are we done?
There were 7 affirmative, 11 no's,
Okay.
and 1 abstention.
Okay, 7 affirmative, 11 who oppose, 1 abstention, the motion fails. Okay.
Thank you. Next is Will County Board of Health. I so move. This is a
Motion by
reappointment.
Ogala,
I was just going to say, these are reappointments.
seconded by Trinier. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Okay, that's fine.
Balich?
Yes.
Trainier? Dean Schlottman? Van Dyne? Pretzel? Newquist? Richmond? Parker? Williams? Diaz? Coleman? Logan? Freeman? Revis? Mitchell? Ortiz? Berkowitz? Mueller? Costa? Ogala?
Yes.
18 affirmative, the motion carries.
Next, we have the appointment for the DAC Board, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Parker. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Okay, good, yeah.
We could do a preview.
Balich?
Yes.
Yes.
Trainier? Dean Schlottman? Van Dyne? Pretzel? Newquist? Richmond? Parker? Williams? Diaz? Coleman? Oh, sorry. Logan? Freeman? Revis? Mitchell? Ortiz? Berkowitz? Mueller? Ogala?
Yes.
18 in the affirmative, the motion carries.
Next, we have Sunny Land Sanitary District, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala. Seconded by Parker, previous roll call by Logan, seconded by Pretzel, all in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Appointment for the Oak Highland Ingalls Park Sanitary District, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Trinier. previous roll call by Logan, seconded by Richmond. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
We have the Bonnie Bray sanitary appointment next, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Trenier. Previous
Come on.
roll call by Mueller, seconded by Richmond. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And then our last appointment is for the Southeast Joliet Sanitary District, and I so move.
Motion by Ogala, seconded by Balich. Previous roll call by Berkowitz, seconded by Trenier. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We are going to now move on to public comments. Are there any public comments relevant to the matters under the jurisdiction of the county? Oh, yeah, we have several to be read too. We did. I don't know, yeah. We're going to ask. Your name?
4 minutes? Yes? 3 minutes? Okay.
I know him.
Okay, good afternoon. Probably not trying to do that. Quinn Adamowski, Landmarks Illinois Regional Advocacy Manager, resident of Joliet, and immediate past chair of the Joliet Historic Preservation Commission, which is germane, and I will explain why in a moment. First, just want to re-extend the offer to tour the Ziac building, the Embassy Suites in Rockford this weekend. I know that a handful of you are planning on going up. I also plan on going. Happy to carpool. Please reach out to me if you would like to go. Just as an update, in Joliet, neighborhood meetings, I have presented to one neighborhood organization about the courthouse. Members from the Courthouse Preservation Partnership have also done so, and there are others. And what we've learned is that people have interest in learning about redevelopment options, and not just private redevelopment options, but also looking at the courthouse as a potential reuse for a mega complex, if you will, government building. I mentioned the Historic Preservation Commission. I am not speaking on behalf of the Historic Preservation Commission, but I wanted to be fully disclosed that I actually am a member there. On April 14th, Hudson Hollister from the CPP asked for a review of the 1969 courthouse by the Historic Preservation Commission. That review took place on April 26th, and it's been moved to a public hearing, which will be next week, May 24th at 6 p.m. This is an important piece per the ordinance of the city of Joliet. When that process started on April 14th, there are two potential outcomes. One, the process would follow as such: a preliminary review, a public hearing, a vote by the commission to recommend or deny to the city council, and the city council would then make a decision. Or that can sit out there for 180 days, at which point nothing can be done. So until the process concludes and or 180 days elapses, the courthouse is sort of in limbo from a pulling permit to demo kind of perspective. Again, sharing that information just to full disclosure. The last thing I wanted to say is that I've heard comments in the past regarding the airport in here, and about how that impacts local communities. And I understand that, and in fact, I largely agree. And I would say that Joliet is a new city council. We have a new mayor, and there's interest in a comprehensive plan. And I think that the courthouse should be part of those discussions one way or another. We're talking about an entire city block that could be a whole in our downtown. So I would again ask this body to delay making any recommendations or decisions regarding demolition, and to at least have conversations with the city of Joliet to identify whether or not that building could have future use within its comprehensive plans. With that, I thank you for your time, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. He did, I know. Thanks for timing. Is there a, Mr. Garcia, did you stick around to talk, to speak today? Okay. Oh, okay. Seeing no more public comment, now we're going to move on to the, what's that? Oh, I'm sorry, we have several to read. My fault.
I'll try to read quickly. All right. Jess Crane, please work with the Village of Manhattan to fix intersection issues, too many traffic accidents due to increased traffic and growing population, commercial. Traffic lights or stop signs are needed at many Cedar Road and also at many Route 52 intersections. Also in Elwood at 53 and Manhattan Arsenal. This intersection is in dire need of left turn lanes and turn traffic light arrows onto 53. East-west drivers are going around the left turning traffic and it has become very dangerous. Schweitzer and other intersections on 53 have become deadly due to increased warehouse workers, trucks, and no proper traffic lights to move traffic. Thanks. This is from Megan Salamone. Hi, I would like to put in a request for Cedar and Smith Road to have a four-way stop, just like Cedar and Baker. There have been so many accidents at this intersection and many that almost happened. I recently moved to Manhattan and have never seen this many accidents or almost accidents. These are people's lives that are being put into jeopardy as they drive down this road. I'm sure you would be just as concerned if it was one of your family members or friends that were involved. We, the people of Manhattan, are asking for stop signs. Thank you. Anna Judd. Please do something about intersections in Manhattan, at least the most dangerous ones, Baker 52 and Delaney 52. From Yvonne Keen Zick. Need a four-way stop at Smith and Cedar, too many accidents and people driving recklessly. This is from Village of Manhattan Mayor Mike Andrianson. County Executive and County Board. I am writing to you today to request your assistance in addressing the safety challenges that we are facing here in the Village of Manhattan. As you know, Route 52 travels through the heart of our community, and we have witnessed serious accidents that have resulted in significant injuries and the loss of life. The most recent accident occurred this week at the intersection of Route 52 and Baker Road. 3 individuals sustained significant injuries, and traffic was snarled in the area for hours. This is not the first incident at this intersection. In May of 2022, 3 young people were killed in the same intersection. We must do better for our residents, and we need your assistance. We all know that Route 52 is a state of Illinois road and not under the jurisdiction of Will County or the Village of Manhattan. Thus, we must rely on IDOT and our state legislators to advance safety improvements on this important roadway that carries both our Will County residents and a growing amount of goods that are moving through this region. Will County remains a very fast-growing county, and our proximity to the major intermodal facilities contributes to excessive truck and vehicular traffic on roads not designed to sustain these traffic levels. The Village of Manhattan is doing all that we can with our village roads, but we need IDOT to take greater responsibility for the state routes that are so critical for our town. We hope Will County will continue to work to make additional improvements on the county roads in our area to support these safety improvements. As the mayor, and on behalf of our trustees, I am requesting Will County's help in advocating for additional safety measures on Route 52, which may include flashing lights, rumble strips, stop signs, or traffic signals that will reduce the chance of these serious accidents. We know further study is required before the appropriate actions can be taken, but we cannot wait on this process. We need action now. Thank you for your continued support, Mayor Mike Andreessen. James Shostak, please say no to the proposed cemetery on Meter Road in Homer Township. This type of cemetery does not fit in a residential community. The zoning and ordinances need to be changed to stop this from completing. No impact studies performed by owners, and no one understands what this will do to our drinking water and bathing water. We are all on well and septic. Also, we have children. What will they be thinking? 24,000 burials in 40 acres, no casket, no containers. Decomposition times 24,000 equals an environmental disaster, and we will all get sick. Nobody wants this. Please reconsider the cemetery location to another area. Also, it doesn't fit the character of the area, sports complex and hospital nearby. Other expansion possibilities for retail and housing. With the cemetery, I doubt development will come. Please help us and vote no. Thank you, James Shostak. This is from John Pachuta. Good afternoon. I just came back from vacation and noticed that a public meeting about the Route 394 upcoming roadwork ideas and projects. Further public comments needed to by May 15th. I have lived in Crete for over 30 years, and it appears that the people who live in southern Will County have been overlooked for years. Route 394 and Illinois 57 should have been widened to 3 lanes years ago. First of all, any roundabouts or dog legs are a very bad idea for 394. Do you honestly believe that drivers will yield any right of way? A full interchange is the only long-term solution for any interchange idea. Look at the Sauk 394 interchange rebuild that took place a few years ago, where turning lanes were added. Traffic is still backed up on 394 during rush hour for over a mile at times. Look at the exchange 394 interchange that was done a few years ago. Traffic on 394 is backed up for cars turning into Indiana, while eastbound Illinois cars trying to turn north onto 394 need to wait for westbound Indiana traffic. If full interchanges were put in place, none of this interchanges would need to be redone. I get the cost, but millions for full interchanges for the Peatone interchange and Stunkel interchange for Route 57 were put in place, and these have much less traffic were done. Since most of the Route 394 drivers are turning into Indiana, have the state of Indiana involved in part of the cost of the road work. If Indiana is not interested, how about seeing if the Illinois Tollway will buy and cover the road work cost? Make a 394 toll road. Randy Gomez. I don't know who to consult about this, as I contacted Jackson Township and they said it's not their jurisdiction. I live on Raymond Drive in Elwood, but in unincorporated part. The road behind me is Millsdale Road. In the afternoon, when the warehouse is on their morning shift between 3 and 5, it gets so backed up that they are cutting through our subdivision at high speeds, and with everyone walking and riding bikes and walking their dogs, it's just a matter of time before something bad happens. Is there anything that can be done about this soon? I don't know which parts of that road belongs to Joliet or Jackson Township or what, but it's getting dangerous. Just now, as I was typing, I saw a vehicle ride on the shoulder on the grass on someone's property to cut through on Millsdale. That's it. I have my own public comment. Is it my turn? Like to go? Sorry. I have my own public comment too. I just wanted to say thank you to the county board and county executive, the county executive staff, Karen and Rashawn, but just again to the county board for continuing to be forward thinking. Some of you were on the county board for the vote by mail equipment, and now I'm in front of this county board asking for new election equipment. County Board Member Richmond, I think, said it the best when he talked about voting being our most important right and elections being safe and secure, and they will continue to be here in Will County because of your vote today. So I'm just grateful for everybody that had a part in it, and thank you so much for your vote today. I appreciate it. You know my door is always open, so if you have any questions and you want to hear more about it, please, you know where to find me. Thank you.
Are we missing?
One more. Public comment for May 9th, 2023 Land Use Committee meeting regarding 23204 West Lake Place, formerly 42 Lake Drive, Plainfield, Illinois. My name is Denise Lawrence. I am the daughter and POA of Ron and Margie Lee, who have resided at the above address for 39 years. In 2022, I inquired about what was needed to move forward with the addition of a garage due to hardships we are facing with medical appointments and safety. However, unbeknownst to us, their plat has been in violation of the Illinois Plat Act. The violation occurred roughly 50 years ago. Prior to us moving here, owning the property and historical files have not been located on the property. Before we can move forward with a much-needed garage for safety and medical reasons, we would like to clarify what is needed to get the property in compliance with the Plat Act so that we can move forward with the building process. After speaking with several surveying companies, we have come to learn that this is much more complicated than first thought. We would like to do what we can to prevent any more delays, so if you could please provide clear, detailed information on what you need next. It would be greatly appreciated. I have also been working with Will County Board members Freeman and Revis, so I'm happy to relay information through them or vice versa if that would be helpful. Thank you for your time, so we may continue to work on a solution with this. Denise Lawrence.
All right, county board members, press your buttons and we'll go in order. This is your time. Saudi leadership will do last. Micah Freeman.
Mine's pretty quick. Belated Happy Mother's Day, first of all, to all the mothers out there. Happy Memorial Day when it approaches at the end of this month. But we just had several public comments read. Do those get sent to the appropriate committees or so that they can be addressed?
They go into our minutes. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so like the committees won't have knowledge of who was who and what, all of those complaints?
They go in, yeah, they all go into the minutes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Revis.
I just wanted to let everybody know May 14th through May 20th is National Police Week. I'm sure most of you know by now, I am the son of a police officer who served Bolingbrook, Illinois for 30 years. growing up, I had so many instances where other individuals would approach my dad, thank him for what he's done. I even remember reading a newspaper article when he saved somebody out of a burning building. But, you know, these are not just unique to my own father. There are an unlimited amount of police officers serving our communities, protecting people and bringing calm to chaos. So instead of, you know, a moment of silence for the police officers that lost their lives in the line of duty, I would encourage everybody to find a police officer serving your community, tell them thank you. It goes a long way, and you know, be sure to remind them that you appreciate them. So that's all I'd like to share, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you. County Board Member Williams.
Well, this has been a long day, and I would just like to say that as a newer county board member, although I'm probably older than everybody in here, but as a newer county board member, I'm hoping that moving forward, we can get together more than what we did today. I'm very disappointed that it turned as partisan as it did, even though we say that it's not, it was. And I'm hoping that we can all put these things aside and learn how to get along better. I thought we were doing a pretty good job, but it turns out that, I don't know, we're looking a little bit more like Congress every day. So to quote Rodney King, can we all just get along?
County Board Member Diaz.
Yeah. Good afternoon. I just want to let everybody know that our St. Joe's nurses are hopefully in negotiation, and I support our St. Joe's nurses. Thank you. And thank you so much for your services, nurses.
Thank you. Balich?
I'm on. The first thing I want to say is Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. That's like a real important thing, a real important thing. I never got the tattoo with the rose and says my mother on it because I didn't like the needles. I got scared. All my friends did. But that's how much we respect mothers, you know, Italians and Polish and Hispanics especially. You know, so Mother's Day special. May you also have people go make their first Holy Communion if you're a Catholic. That's a big deal too. And then you have Memorial Day, and that's another big day. So you get a day off for that day even. And so I love that day. Next day is my birthday usually, and I can go out, get drunk, and have a good time 2 days in a row. But other than that stuff, of all the beautiful things that happened in May, you know, when we were talking in the meeting, I look at it like the parking lot. I didn't realize, you know, sometimes I'm in La La Land, sometimes I'm not. I didn't know the parking lot was screwed up that bad. But, you know, when something's big, a safety hazard, to me, I look at it like it only takes 5 minutes to have a meeting. So before one of our meetings, we could do a special meeting and start the process, because you got to go out and get bids. It just don't happen in a minute. So, you know, really, we should start a process and go get it done. You know, and instead of talking about it, let's fix it. And that requires county executive and the board to go out and work together to get it done. But that's what we got to do, because someone gets hurt, we're in trouble. And then the Muslim cemetery, that's an issue that's going to be coming up, and it's going to be really nasty unless our, I'm not even sure which department. I don't know if it's land use or the health department. But the key issue with the Muslim cemetery is the water. So we have to find out absolutely if it's safe to have that many bodies buried there or not, and if whatever happens from it. We have no idea. And the 5 acres that's there already, we're not going to be able to stop it. So if anybody's talking to the people from the cemeteries, that's going to be a done deal. You know, we can't stop it. So I know we read some letters there. I'm still getting phone calls on it. But really, we need to find out, because there's going to be more things like that. And there's weirder things, like Homer Glenn just had a vote on whether or not to allow pet animals to get cremated by chemicals. And then well, there's stuff that's going on we don't know, and we have to know definitively the answer. And that's what I'm saying. Our department, for the health department or land use, really has to come up with real answers to this. It's really important. And other than that, God bless everybody and have a great day.
Jackie Trenier.
Oh, thank you. On this day in 1980, following an earthquake with a magnitude of 5.1 on the Richter scale, Mount St. Helens in Washington state erupted into one of the greatest volcanic explosions ever recorded in North America. Well, I don't think our meeting was as bad as Mount St. Helens, but thank God. But definitely we need to do a little better job in communication, which is not easy. Which brings me to my second comment. I know the individuals that are purchasing the land, that have purchased the land and applied for the permits to develop the first 5 acres for the cemetery. I've talked to them at length. I will say, perhaps if we had a special use permit and a special hearing, they would have had to have that, they would have had the opportunity to tell their story and explain about the cemetery, and maybe there would be less panic in the community. Maybe not, because people do tend to believe everything they read on social media. There are not going to be 20,000 people buried in that cemetery in the first year that it's open. They're looking at potentially 20, maybe 30 burials a year. Our wells are not shallow in Will County. We have rules about how deep the wells have to be. And I really just don't see this as a health risk. I've tried to scour the internet to try to find, any examples of where a burial, a natural burial, an eco burial has caused some sort of, catastrophic contamination. I mean, we all know that, in the days of cholera and the plagues and all those kind of things, that's a whole different thing, right? These are just green eco burials, which may eventually sometime in the near future become legal in our entire state without a special use permit. So I would just encourage people to keep an open mind about that project when the time comes. It's going forward. They're a good group of community members. Their cemeteries are actually quite beautiful. You don't even know there's a cemetery there. They don't use ostentatious headstones. It's just a flat plaque on the ground, if anything, and it becomes a nice grassy, beautiful area where the deer and the antelope can play and also die and perhaps poison my well. So, with that said, everybody have a wonderful Memorial Day and take care.
Thank you. One thing I'd like to just say is that it's always good for us to have a good, healthy discussion on issues. And if we don't always get to have that conversation in a committee, special committee, if we have it here, it shows the public that we are having an open discussion about the situations at hand, and there's some people who agree and some people who don't agree, and that conversation's being had. We're just not going ahead and approving things in lockstep. If they didn't see any disagreements or see the conversations, they don't understand how we're voting. They don't understand what we're voting on if we don't explain it. So I think that's not a bad thing. May make meetings run a little bit longer than some like them to be, but I think it's a good thing to have the conversation. The second thing I'd like to talk about is we have the task team for the cannabis dollars, Natalie Coleman and Raquel Mitchell. I think they've been working great together. Hope that all of you have provided them with your ideas, thoughts and ideas. They will be compiling those ideas and bringing them forward to the executive committee. The executive committee will be the one who can say this or that is a great thing, and then we'll take it to both caucuses. We do have opioid settlement dollars, and since this cannabis work the same, and there's a list of possible ways you could spend those dollars that we did get from our state's attorney. You all should have that in your email box. I encourage you to read that and come up with some ideas. I know there's some ideas already coming forward from a couple places, and I've selected Katie Dean Schlattman and Sherry Williams to head up that group. It gives them the opportunity to have so many conversations and not take up a committee room with each of us, with others, and then bring their ideas forward. They'll hopefully be starting this after the 1st of June. I want to also say that if those of you who do not know, House Bill 2531 related to South Suburban Airport did pass. That means that they will be directing IDOT to do a request for information, or a request for proposal, a request for something. That has previously been done twice before. They're supposed to do this within 6 months. They've gone out twice before to get that, and that hasn't happened. Whether somebody steps forward for the airport or not, it's very important to us in Will County. For too long, I've sat on this board and heard the conversation, oh, that's a state project. No, it's not. It might be a state project, but it impacts us here, right here in Will County. We're not part of that conversation. Legislation passed in 2015 doesn't give us a say in it. We need to be part of that conversation. If things are going to happen, it impacts our residents. It has been impacting our residents right now. It impacts our taxing bodies in Eastern Will County. That is an issue. I would like to work to make some changes to that legislation so that Will County is part of that conversation. In addition, I think that we should also ask for an alternative study plan. If that airport, if nothing comes out of this, will this continue for another 40 years? Really, I don't think we should keep a group of people hostage for so long in their homes and have that hanging over them. It's been too long that that's been going on. So I'd like to advocate for funding for an alternative plan as to what we might do with that land that the state owns. I think we should have some input into that, because that, again, directly inputs our residents. The vast majority of the people who are in support of this, legislators, they represent huge portions of Cook County, and the Cook County South Suburban mayors and managers have been long in favor of it. The mayors in Eastern Will County have been opposed to this, along as townships and the residents. So I will be looking to do that, because I think it's important for us to have a voice in this situation. In closing, I just would like to wish everybody a safe and happy Memorial Day weekend. Thank you.
Very good. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mueller, seconded by Trenier. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll see you back on June